Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is a sham.
No.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Get real. I always love it. It's in my dreams. Welcome to DBL. We have Al and Lindsay here. I am Tori, and we wanted to get your take on this because we've been talking about it behind the scenes. Whenever you turn on the news, it seems like there's story after story showing just how divided America is right now. Like in Texas, I don't know if you saw this footage. This is over a drag brunch, okay, for kids. Drag brunch for kids over the weekend. But armed groups from both sides showed up and faced off with each other. There's also this uproar over Hunter Biden's laptop, and now GOP senators are demanding answers of the FBI possibly burying the story. Even former President Trump is now demanding he be declared the winner of the 2020 election over the whole thing. So how divided are we really? Well, a recent poll showed that more than 40% of Americans, 40%, think a civil war is likely in the next decade. So DBL Nation, you know we go to you. We want to know what you think. Are we headed in that direction? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in so you have a voice. I just want to ask, do you think we're headed for civil war? And are we really as divided as, and I want our audience to really think back on Vietnam, JFK getting shot, RFK, MLK, the Civil War, Great Depression, things like that. Is it just the media?
Can you name one more depressing thing?
I was like, you got a good Rolodex of all.
Well, there's been some hard times. So are we that divided, or is it the media? What do you think, Lindsay?
I mean, I think it's unfathomable that we'll be in an actual civil war at this stage with this type of technology. But when you think about what could have happened on January 6th, let's say if everyone was armed and was fully prepared to kill people in the way that some terrorists have on planes and different things, then that would be totally different outcome. Mm-hmm. It would be there would be several people dead. Because when I heard the Secret Service saying they called their family on that day to say their final goodbyes, I was like, wow, they thought this was going to be a entirely worse situation. It was terrible, but they thought it was going to be like almost everyone in there dead or fighting for their life or just anything goes.
Like hand-to-hand combat.
And I think people are nervous about like people getting too crazy and wanting to combine that passion plus that mentality. And then that would leave more people dead. And then we'd be in a situation where we are like we're in ancient times for this country. But I just think that we are past that when I think about how far we've come and where we are and what people won't stand for. So when we see things that remind us of, let's say, of lynchings, when we see black people being killed for no reason, right? Those remind us of those times, but because, thank God, we have social media and we have the ability to communicate and we have the ability to at least try our very hardest to hold anyone accountable who's doing the wrongs, I think we're in a little bit better of a position than we were back in those days.
That's optimistic. What do you think about? Are you happy? Are you salty out?
No, I'm not salty out. I'm glad Lindsay brought up January 6th because if we were going to have a civil war, wouldn't that be the time to have had it?
Yeah, that was like the day.
A square full of extremists. They were all armed. Most of them were with heavy caliber rifles. And to my knowledge, not many AR-15s were let off. Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed trying to infiltrate, that room. But I think that kind of showed that was our experiment. If people really wanted that smoke, that was the day to do it. But yet no one did it. And I think because there's a part of all of us that understands that if I start a civil war with you, Lindsay, well, guess what? I'm in a civil war. If I go shoot at your house, well, guess what? You're going to come shoot at my house. And I have kids. And I don't want that. I like going to Target with my kids. I don't want to go armed. I don't think anybody wants to go armed. And that's why I think that things are different when we start talking about 1863. That was a long time ago. Also, little fun fact, we're all capitalists. And civil war is not good for business. This country will not let that happen. There is no way for us to have a civil war without a Confederate army going against the Union. If we don't have those clear divided lines which people need, then there can't be a civil war. Now, what we can have is a Cold War, which I think that's where we're in.
That's what I want to ask you guys, because let's just, I'm trying to think, what does this look like? If there is a civil war, like you said, it's not the Confederacy versus the Union. There's no Mason-Dixon line. It's like neighbor versus neighbor. So is it a cold sort of guerrilla war? Will that turn it? Or is this really, we're way more together than we think, and it's all media?
I think we're way more together. What do you think?
Well, I've just never been polled by any of these polls that we're always talking about. And so I know Jeff has an issue about that, and you guys said you've never been polled. So it's like, I think there's a huge portion of this country that finds themselves either adjacent to the left or adjacent to the right of the political spectrum and not on the extreme ends. And I feel like those people feel misrepresented. Those people are not interested in a civil war. Those people are interested in their day-to-day, like Al said, going to Target. And so that is the majority, I believe, of the country. Again, I haven't had a poll on this number that polled every single person here, but I've also never been included in the poll. So I don't sometimes feel like my voice is there.
Right.
And so that is just like, I don't think that everyone is so extreme and that they can't have a conversation with, let's say, someone who supported or voted for President Trump twice.
Right.
I think people can have conversations with those people and figure out the same way we were teaching people how to be anti-racist. You can have that dialogue. It doesn't mean they're starting from a place of they hate you. It means just start to have a conversation to explain why you feel so strongly about a position that they took.
I agree with that, but can I ask you something?
It's a talk show. Have at it.
Thanks. Thanks. When someone says to me, and I know it's a fringe group, I know it's an extremist, but that's what you could have said the beginning of the Confederacy was. When they say to me, the election was stolen, when I start to think of civil war. Again, I always say you're not talking on the same reality that I'm talking about. So when I want to have that conversation with someone from the other side, it's like I can't go any further than you think red is green and I think green is red. So I don't know where to go from. If you still think the election is stolen, to me, that would be the only thing that would gather this energy up to be a patriotic American and fight against it. Does that make sense?
Well,
I don't know how to have those conversations.
Why can't they think it?
Because it's not true. Because it's a lie.
People believe do you go after flat earthers?
No, but flat earthers didn't try to take over the Capitol.
But they were unsuccessful. Like, there's a number.
Barely.
There's always going to be fringe groups that exist within any society. But you were talking about polls earlier, Lindsay. Let's talk about the polls. People are very pro-gay marriage. People are very pro-legalized marijuana. People are very pro-abortion.
Yes.
These are issues that we all can agree on for the most part.
Right.
There's going to be 30% of anything that is going to be extreme or fringe. That's part of the road. There are ditches on both sides of that road. But for the most part, the major issues we all agree on. So I think that the extremists have been elevated, one, because you know they were not listed as domestic terrorists. They dismantled that body when Trump came in office. These kind of extremist groups then kind of took foothold, started having places on our media. We start seeing
electing them.
Electing. We start seeing the great replacement theory, which I had heard about years ago and was laughing at, now going on prime time on Fox News. So some of these things did take hold in terms of people listening to them, but I don't think they changed a lot of minds. I think a lot of people are at Macy's like I was last night. I was talking to a woman named Lynn. She was really great. We just had a great conversation. And she goes, "What do you do?" I go, "I work at a news station," because I never tell them. She goes, "Are you on air?" I was like, "I'm on a show called Daily Blast Live." And she goes, "I don't know who you are, but I've had a great time talking to you." It was so great.
And it was what you wanted to be.
It was just me and her at an empty Macy's. There was closing time. I was buying some pillowcases.
Sure.
And I think that's what everybody wants to do. They want to buy their pillowcases in peace. Nobody wants to shoot out of an AR-15 to drop Lindsay off so she can go roller skating at 15 years old. People don't want that smoke. Nobody does.
Well, there are people that do, because we're seeing it. Let's take a look at the polls. We say, is America headed for another civil war? 57% of you. So a majority of you say yes. No, 43% of you. Write us in and tell us what you think that would look like, and also how we can come together more as a country, because I think that is something we all want as Americans. Coming up on DBL, our interview with the hilarious and talented Joel McHale. Plus, some major celebs came out to send off Serena Williams at the U.S. Open as she heads towards retirement. The GOAT! The GOAT!
Closed captioning provided by
Poshmark.
I think it is one of those stories we're all going to be like, what?
So
Who raised you?
Why am I right all the time?
Welcome to another week of Jeff Smuts.
Am I going crazy?
Oh, good.
Thanks. I was thinking that people felt that Al Gore won the election. The only difference is that he stepped to the side and said, "I lost." This is the only difference.
I was living in Florida when they announced that he won. They announced it on the
Right,
radio.
and people genuinely felt like the election was stolen. He said, "Hey, everybody, like when people follow you blindly, you have to tell them this is the way it works. I abide by the law of the land. We did this fairly, and it's okay to even ask for a recount or ask something to be reviewed." A lot of people argued that Trump's requests weren't merited because they've done very specific reviews before he asked, and there was no indication that it was off by so many or so slightly percentage points they need to recount. But either way, you're allowed to ask
within
reason, and you just have to concede when it's time to concede. That's the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
That to this minute, he still hasn't conceded. It's ridiculous.
He to
this minute,
right to this.
Yeah, to this exact minute.
I think it's fair to say to the death. He will not concede.
And that's the thing. That's why people are so riled up. So
it's a weird thing because when you start talking about elections that were, it's not stolen but shady or whatever. Obviously there's 2000 with Bush and Gore.
Remember
but
that?
Even back, with Nixon and Kennedy. I mean, Nixon was doing very well, and then they went to Chicago, and some chicanery happened.
Chicanery, that's so good.
This happens on, I hate to say it, on both sides. There's always going to be issues when it comes to
Chicago at the Democratic National Convention.
1968, baby. That was a really difficult year for people.
I think difficult is putting it very mildly.
Yeah, I would agree. Kent State, 1970, people, U.S. soldiers were shooting our own American students on college campuses in Ohio.
Yeah, Kent State.
Is that Kent
right
State?
from my dad's house.
Damn,
yeah,
that's so. Remember that picture? Oh my goodness. Chicanery, great word. Welcome back. I haven't seen any of these pictures and I'm so excited. It was a star-studded and family affair. Serena Williams played her first match in her final U.S. Open tournament. Serena won the match, are we surprised, in straight sets yesterday. Her family was there to cheer her on, including her daughter Olympia, who twinned with her mom. Aww. Olympia also wore similar braids in her hair that Serena wore that gave me chills, when she won her first U.S. Open back in 1999. Stars were also packing the stands to see her play, like Hugh Jackman and his wife, along with Lindsey Vonn and Anthony Anderson. Vogue editor Anna Wintour was there with the glasses, spotting sitting in style. Check this out. It looked like Bill Clinton might have been getting some advice from Dr. Ruth.
No disrespect. I had no idea she was still alive.
Okay, totally a fair, and also she's a great lady.
Yeah.
But there was also a case of mistaken identity in the stands involving actress Laverne Cox. Laverne reposted a tweet that identified her as Beyonce. Clearly flattered. She captioned the post, "Not me getting mistaken for Beyonce." That would be the coolest thing in the world.
That's on your vision board. Like that, wouldn't that be like, well, you're like, I'm done here. My life is
You get
complete.
up and leave. Yeah.
You're playing with house money at that point.
I think it was reasonable for people to think that Beyonce was there. We just saw the commercial that Beyonce voiced over for Serena. We've seen Serena in Beyonce's videos. And so if this is her grand closing, then we would expect everybody and their mom to be there at some point during this tournament. So that's why everybody was so hyped about seeing Beyonce, because when do you unexpectedly see Beyonce? Rarely ever.
Never.
Right? It's like all intentional, beautiful photos only. Like, so when you catch her or when she posts vacation pictures 2 months later, it's always a spectacle for like 2 days on the internet. So this was part of that spectacle, and unfortunately it wasn't. But either way, Laverne Cox is dope, and that comparison is even doper. So if I was Laverne Cox, I'd be very pleased.
I'll tell you who shouldn't be pleased is whoever Serena's opponent was that day. That's the worst, because you're walking in the line like Gladiator right before they open the gates.
She's like, I'm dead.
Why he didn't show up? That weird guy in wrestling that would always just be in the ring when the real guy who's going to win comes in. You're like, oh, this guy has no chance. He's going with his government name. This guy's over.
He's like Star Trek. The guy in the red shirt always died first.
Yeah,
that guy. He's always that guy.
Shout out to whoever that was.
Oh, God, that's funny. And the braids, by the way, what a moment in sports history. That was great. Well, Chris Rock reportedly addressed the slap once again during a comedy show while on stage in Arizona. Chris said he was asked to host the Oscars next year, but he said that would be like Nicole Brown Simpson returning to the restaurant. Okay, that's not right for me, but that's okay. A reference to her murder, which happened after leaving an Italian restaurant. Chris also revealed he was asked to do a Super Bowl commercial after being slapped on the face on stage, but also refused that offer. What is an offer he couldn't refuse, Al? Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
That was good. I mean, I don't think he would have taken any offer because that offer is going to take away his narrative. Right now, he's in control of talking about what happens. If he leaves it up to Doritos, they're gonna lampoon it and make it funny
you're totally
and goofy.
right.
But like that's where his bread and butter is. Like I don't think there's ever been a comic that has had such a public incident happen and is such a skilled comedian that they can not use the phrase milk it, but he can milk this for a couple specials and like keep his name out there. But like if he dives on the opportunity immediately, I think it'll just be this big public thing. And once he makes a joke about it or lets somebody else make a joke about it, it's over and we move on. So I like he's kind of holding on to the narrative there.
I think that we want to hear from him. It doesn't matter if it's a year from now or 10 years from now. We're going to want to hear from him. But like, strike the iron while it's hot. Is that the saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Or something like that? Okay, like do it. Like we are all like salivating. So like the top tier dollar offering is probably right now, or I guess if you wait 10 years, yeah, the top tier dollar offering is probably still going to be there. But like, why not like just do a special and a Doritos commercial? Maybe the Doritos commercial disappears if you do a special in 10 years.
Can I ask you a question? And I wanted to ask you this because I was like, why doesn't he? Like you said, and then I heard you and I thought, if he lets someone else make a joke of it, it becomes not his.
Right.
And also it sort of lessens it. Does that make any sense?
Right. He loses his leverage, and that's all life is. It's just what you can leverage. And at this point, he can go into HBO, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and be like, hey, I want to do a special. And they're like, here's what we're going to pay you. And then he goes, okay. And he just takes out a red Sharpie, like Trump did with that hurricane, and put 2 more zeros at the end of it, and then say, this is what I'll do the special for. And they say, yes, sir, Mr. Rock. Is there anything else, sir? He has the leverage right now. Everybody, like Lindsay, you speak for all of us. Everybody wants to hear him speak about it, and no one wants to see it in a 30-second goofy commercial. I want to hear it talked about for an hour and like what he went through before,
Me too.
What he chooses to share, what he keeps back. But I think that's the narrative we want to see. And then after that, bring on the Doritos commercial.
Yeah.
And it's not specifically Doritos, but
I know,
we're saying
that's
usually the biggest one during the
Because they
Super
made
Bowl.
that great Super Bowl commercial. By the way, Cool Ranch Doritos. I can't stop.
No, this is salsa.
I can't stop.
Don't sleep on the salsa ones.
Spicy nacho.
Coming up on DBL, actor and comedian Joel McHale tells us the latest on a possible community movie, and our interview with him is coming up next. It was a good one.
Whether you love it or hate it, pumpkin spice season is here, and people are using the flavoring in all sorts of foods and drinks. But despite its popularity, some people are still confused about what actually goes into the pumpkin spice seasoning in a pumpkin spice latte. This person on Twitter claims there isn't any pumpkin in pumpkin spice. But is that true? Let's verify. We spoke to a spice expert, a licensed dietitian and nutritionist, and spice manufacturer McCormick & Company to get to the bottom of this.
There is no pumpkin in the spice, but it's a blend of different spices that historically were used with pumpkin in pumpkin pies or pumpkin puddings.
The blend usually contains 4 to 5 other spices you probably have in your cabinet: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Spice giant McCormick & Company first introduced a commercial pumpkin pie spice to the US in 1934. The goal was to flavor pumpkin pie all in one container, rather than bakers needing to get each individual spice. So we can verify, no, pumpkin spice does not contain any pumpkin. But despite the lack of pumpkin-y goodness in pumpkin spice, both Frisch and Andrew say it's still possible the latte drink that you order may in fact contain pumpkin these days. And as it turns out, we can verify that the PSL at Starbucks has both pumpkin spice seasoning, which does not contain pumpkin, and real pumpkin. It says so right here on the drink's ingredient list. With your Verify and my very own pumpkin spice latte, I'm Ariane Till. That's not bad.
Welcome back to DBL. We hope you're ready to laugh because earlier we sat down with actor, television host, and comedian, and a little crush of mine who you love from The Soup and Community, Joel McHale. We even formed our own football team. How's that for an exclusive? Check it out. Welcome back to DBL, Joel McHale. Yeah, Joel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joel,
Thank you.
Are you in a classroom?
Yes, this is technically a classroom. I have my own school.
Okay.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
You and LeBron.
I think though, Joe, when you said I have my own school for a second, you were like, should I start my own school? I would go to that school. Let's just see. This open enrollment. Let me know. Text me.
That's great. Let's start a football team. We'll have like a varsity football team, just 2 guys.
There we go.
Yeah, we're gonna be called the Tiny Hats. The Tiny Hats.
All right, I got to get right to this. You're going to be in our neck of the woods, Denver, Colorado, with your boy, friend of the show, and star of Community, Ken Jeong soon. Now, we know Ken's a doctor. Let's be honest. Have you ever tried to use this to your advantage?
As we all know, Ken was thrown out of medicine because he injured so many people. And Ken is, that's what really upsets me about Ken is that he's so funny. And on top of everything else, he was a doctor for 12 years. I have no other skills other than making tiny hat jokes. And so he actually has helped a couple people on set, including the great Joe Russo of Marvel fame. He and Anthony Russo directed all the huge, Endgame and Infinity War and all
I've
that.
Heard of those.
He diagnosed Joe's leg pain and saved him a trip to the hospital. So that really happened.
Whoa. Wow. Okay. All right, so let's talk Community, because Community's creator, Dan Harmon, came out to say the Community movie is not a matter of if, but when.
Yes.
So, who would you say out of the cast is most excited about this?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I was going to say if not, it's going to be when, and we've already have a timeline of 37 years, so we're very excited.
Let's sync our watches.
I'm going to say I'm going to go back to Ken. Ken is really excited because he needs the money.
He needs it. Oh man.
He is broke.
Speaking of exciting things, you're coming back as Starman for season 3 of Stargirl, and I mean, literally, you're going to come back from the dead. I've just been hearing all these rumors online that Stargirl is just the best superhero show on TV right now. I assume you agree. Can you tell us a little about it?
We're going to get you on a good.
I would completely agree. Brett Bassinger is a superstar, and she plays Stargirl, and then you got your movie star Luke Wilson and Amy Smart, and you also have the cast is super talented, created by Jeff Johns, but it is in the DC universe. And I, as you said, I come back from the dead. I mean, I must because I'm in the show this season. But I think it's one of those things where there was a lot of superhero shows and there was a lot of noise, and this one just consistently is. I think they're incredibly well-told stories, and you'll see. Give it a chance and catch up on the other 2 seasons because it's a really good show. I know when I'm on a crappy show, I'll be happy to tell you.
Tell me about it.
But this one is really good.
If you right now had any superpowers, what would you say it would be?
Normally people are
Personally.
smoking pot when this question's asked. Okay.
No, I'm not high.
Okay, so I guess my power would be getting people to smoke pot. What did you say? I'm confused by the question. No, I was thinking my superpower would be to start schools and 2-man football teams instantly like that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. The tiny hats.
Yeah, probably that.
Okay. Tiny hats.
The tiny hats would be back. I would go with Starman. It would be. I would take the cosmic staff, but the tiny hat football team also very powerful.
Mazel tov. No one's going to that school, Joel. No. Nobody. Thank you, Joel.
How dare you? How dare you? He will beat you in the playoffs.
Nope.
Thank you.
No one's going. Joel, we appreciate you. DBL Nation, make sure you check out season 3 of DC Stargirl, premiering August 31st on the CW. We will be right back. Thanks, Joel.
Watch it.
Tiny hats.
Thank you, guys.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
As people wait for more information from the Department of Education on what to do next to claim this loan forgiveness benefit, there's also the question of if the program could get tied up in court. The Biden administration points to something called the HEROES Act as giving them authority for the sweeping student debt cancellation program. So what is it and how is it connected with student loans? Our sources are the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students, or HEROES Act, the Department of Education, and the Biden administration. The HEROES Act was passed after 9/11. It allows for the forgiveness of student loan requirements during certain periods of hardship in the country, like during a war or national emergency. It became law while U.S. troops were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and lawmakers agreed they should be protected from growing loan burdens. This accompanying legal opinion cites the HEROES Act as justification for the debt cancellation program, which the Biden administration has said is directed at, quote, addressing the financial harms caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Education also stood on the HEROES Act to initially pause student loan collection in 2020 during the Trump administration. However, some say this is too broad an interpretation of the HEROES Act, or even a case of presidential overreach. Members of his own party have even long questioned if this is something the president has the authority to do.
So how would a legal challenge happen? That's actually a big question here. With the way the judicial process works, someone would have to make the case that they've been personally harmed by this to have standing in court to challenge it. But it's something we know Republicans and conservative advocacy groups have already started talking about. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
At some point while searching for information about the DMV or other government services, you've probably ended up on a website like this one that claims to help drivers renew their license or change their address. But it's not a real government website. Instead, people were duped into paying money for what appeared to be government services, but were instead informational websites that sold user data and charged fees for guides that contained publicly available information. The Federal Trade Commission says this site and more than 200 others like it were shams run by a company called On Point Global. Verify viewer Benjamin received this postcard that claims he's entitled to a refund from On Point Global and wants to know if it's true. So Benjamin, let's verify. Is the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam real? Our sources are the FTC and court documents filed in the lawsuit of FTC, the On Point Global, and its subsidiaries. In 2021, the FTC won a lawsuit against On Point Global, ordering the company to shut down their sites and pay out $85 million to its victims. People who were affected were sent postcards and emails with instructions on how to file a claim. So, yes, the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam is real. Victims must make a claim by September 7th using the link on the FTC's website. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back. We love sharing your comments, and thank you for writing us. John says,
John?
That's what he said?
Hey, John.
No, I just had Bob cut. It was very good for my boss. Sorry. There's plenty of vitriol, that's for sure. Couple that with a poor economy and a lack of social decorum, and things got really interesting. This is, of course, about the Civil War and are we getting closer? And Rolling Trouble says Al is the voice of reason.
I saw that in the comments, too.
I wrote that. I picked it.
Oh, you're Rolling Trouble?
Yeah. That's a cool name.
We knew it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
It's like a band.
Rolling Trouble.
That's a good name.
It is a good name.
Where hope finds help. Where courage meets conviction. Where makers make fans. We are Tegna, a family of local and national media brands that bring us together, serving the greater good of our communities. Where national know-how backs local business. Be in good company with Tegna.
Am I going crazy? I just love your passion right now.
I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, let me get on it. You just got me all riled up.
So
Who raised you?
This is a win, right, guys? Why am I right all the time?
You're not.
I live my life for Spike. Welcome to another week of Jeff's Mustache.
I didn't expect that. I love this segment.
Yes.
You just made my day, my week, my month, my year. DBL is all new every day.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
A new poll says America is more divided than ever, but could we really be headed for a civil war? The teacher who made headlines for giving kids access to banned books is here live. What does she have to say to the people who want her facing criminal charges? Setting the record straight on student loan forgiveness. We've got the facts to debunk the misinformation that's spreading online. And a star-studded U.S. Open send-off for Serena Williams.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Finally here. Drum roll.
Oh, are you going to turn that into a laugh?
No.
Oh, Al was just criticizing me, and then right when the camera turned on, he turned it into a giggle.
The mask comes on.
He gaslit you. We see right every morning. Yeah, we see right through you. Okay. We have to talk about this. I know that our viewers feel this way. Many of us do, so let's unpack it. Whenever you turn on the news, it does seem like that there's story after story showing just how divided America is right now. Like in Texas, there was a drag brunch for kids over the weekend. However, armed groups from both sides showed up and faced off with each other. There's also all this uproar over Hunter Biden's laptop, and now GOP senators are demanding answers over the FBI possibly burying the story. Even former President Trump is now demanding he be declared the winner of the 2020 election over the whole thing. So how divided are we really? Well, a recent poll showed that more than 40% of Americans think that a civil war is likely in the next decade. So DBL Nation, I'm reading your comments, but we want to continue to hear from you. Are we headed, in your opinion, in that direction? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. Al?
I keep thinking back to January 6th. We had a bunch of armed extremists right at the Capitol steps. They had headsets, Erica. They had a battle plan. They were going underground. They had a plan to bring guns over, it was at the Delaware. And no one did anything. No one did anything. And I wonder why. And I think it's because at everybody's core, no matter how much rhetoric you use, no matter if you actually show up at the event, no matter if you yell or show up with a bat, nobody really wants that civil war smoke. Because if we're in a civil war and you do something to me, that's going to affect your family as well, because now your family's in a civil war. Nobody wants to live like that. They keep trying to tell us that we're divided, but we are not divided on legalizing marijuana. A lot of states have already done it. It's very popular. We were not divided on abortion. It was a very popular pro-choice referendum in this country. And we haven't been divided on a number of gay marriage. Assault weapons. All these things are things that people are for. The reason that they are being held up and not changed is because of what's going on in our government. I don't think that people really want a civil war, but I think it's great to talk about it and pontificate about it. But what would that even look like in 2022?
I disagree. I think that there is a contingency of people out there who absolutely want a civil war. They want the unrest. They want the chaos. They want to overthrow the government. And why? Because they are so disenfranchised, either in their heads or they're disenfranchised in the reality of the situation. And anything, in order to upset the balance, will work in their favor. Like, you're talking about it from a standpoint of someone who, you are living your life in a way that it makes sense that you want to have some degree of harmony and civility. But there are people out there who are living a reality, whether it's a true reality or the one they've made up in their head, that anything is better than what is happening now. And these, quote, outliers, who I don't even feel are truly outliers. These are people who, in the moment that if there was a separation, let's say it's an aesthetic one, let's just use black and white because this is America. They're able to turn to look like whatever they need to look like in order to be on the winning side of whatever is happening. So I do think that there is a fear that should be at least thought about and explored in all of our hearts and minds, because there are a lot of people out there who do not love the way that their lives in this country are going, and they will do anything to upset that balance.
I wonder, though, if you were to ask, and I agree with you, but let's look back to like 1968, right? Let's look back to 1975. 1984, like even when was same-sex marriage passed? 2008?
Yeah, during Obama. Yeah.
So, and if I got that wrong, please somebody correct me. Would your grandmother say that times are better now than they were before? What would you say to that?
I don't know what my grandmother would say.
Well, what do you
honest.
feel? Do you feel that we've made some progress?
I think there's always progress. But I also think that there's always a certain amount of regression. And I say that because anytime there's progress made, there's always going to be a, but what about, but look at. And then we stop looking at, it's like, is the glass half full or the glass half empty?
Right.
So I think that we are, in some ways, progressing, but in a lot of ways, we are regressing.
Yeah, I think both of you are right, which is an annoying thing to say. But if you do bring back 1968, presidents were shot. Like RFK, would-be presidents were shot. MLK, leaders were shot, assassinated. The Chicago riots, the Democratic Convention, that's 1 year. We've had really bad times in America before. There was actually a whole war where we fought against one another. I don't think things are there at all. I think the media has brought this up and made it very polarizing. However, and I say this with respect, usually something comes along and is a catalyst for something once a generation. I believe Trump represents or gives permission for people to really speak out to their neighbors and say, I don't like where you're from, go back to blank. That's shifted to where now neighbor versus neighbor is like in maybe a possible war.
I don't know. Okay, and Al, please jump in. Like, I agree with the both of you that we feel very divided. However, I see that on my Facebook account. I see that on Twitter. When I'm out and about grabbing a coffee, and I get it, I'm white, I get my privilege, but still, when I'm out and about getting to know my neighbors, whether or not we have different or same political beliefs, there is a commonality of respect and family and community as opposed to what I see on Facebook. I think we see a different person behind a keyboard than we see if you were my next door neighbor.
Absolutely.
You see people all the time.
But what if you see that person on a red MAGA hat?
But
that changes things.
I don't know if that does.
For me, it does.
I think that there have been extremists. I don't think there's any more or less of anything ever in the history of time. I think that extremists have been highlighted. The domestic terrorist group was dismantled when Trump came in. So now we have more white nationalists that are getting prominent FaceTime on national news. But when I'm out and about, when I talk to people after shows, I talk to thousands of people a year. I don't see this. I know I'm talking to them in a certain situation, but that's the only situation we'll ever interact with.
I don't agree at all, and I think that it's a privilege to not see it or not have to see it.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
No, I'm telling you now. I have so insulated and isolated myself because I just truly, it's not even that it affects me on a personal level, it's that I choose joy and softness in this moment in my life. But I, at least once a week, get approached by someone who says something to either, they basically want to have DBL at the grocery store, and they want to come to me to give me their side of the coin because they may have heard me say something when I'm at work. I'm off the clock. Okay, I'm not interested in having this conversation with you in the real world. I have been at private events and had people come up and say something to get me to respond in a certain way. I have been called names and had things like under my breath. And we live in Denver, and not to say that Denver's okay. I mean, hello, Elijah McClain. But I'm telling you right now, especially in other places in the country, there are people who this is a daily occurrence for, and they have to deal with this every day.
Yeah, that's real. No, it is. That's real. Let's look at our viewers. They say 54% of you say yes. Wow, America is headed for another civil war. That's our viewers for you. And also 2015 was the legalization of same-sex marriage.
Excellent.
2015. That was not that long ago. Coming up on DBL, a fact check of President Biden's student loan forgiveness. Will taxpayers really be on the hook for this? And the teacher who made headlines for giving her students access to banned books is here live. She's giving her side of the story next.
Closed captioning provided by
Posh. Am I going crazy?
now.
Who raised you?
Why am I right all the time?
Welcome to another week of Jeff Smuts.
You just made my day, my week, my month, my year.
I also think it's just lighting.
So obviously we're going to continue the conversation about civil wars, and just like to further my point, like I
much paler
don't
and yellower.
for one second think that there's not a group of people that want to escalate things. We've seen those people constantly. We see them at drag brunches now.
A little bit and not as
What
yellow.
I don't see is people being able to mobilize and convince other people that their lives should change forever, where now it is dangerous to go to the grocery store, even though it is. But you know what I'm saying, where people are shooting at people you love, and you're shooting at people that other people love. When you start that, when you go down that road, when you start shooting at people's kids, it's going to be a different story. And that's what I'm saying. That next level, I don't know what it would take to get there, but I don't.
Don't you see? You're already seeing that in certain places.
I think people are ultimately selfish, and they don't want that for their lives.
I think I'm already seeing it in pockets.
There's always pockets of extremists.
Came over here to say.
Always.
Agreed, but I think extremist is you're making it more fringe than it is. I think they were this close to taking over our diplomacy.
I think that there were some factors in place in the fact that we didn't have any Capitol Police there. I think there were some issues there that were on the inside.
Erica,
but I think for the most part,
saying,
people
don't come for Erica when she's off the clock.
You know, I was thinking about that.
Right here. She said she's off the clock. Don't bother our Erica, please. Let her shop in peace.
If someone could pin, it'd be helpful.
Yes, please don't come for me off the clock.
I know, but can you tell? Can we get one more pin? Yeah. Okay. I just think I can get it right.
30 seconds.
We'll do it later.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter answers your questions, clarifies what's true and false, and even includes a daily fun fact. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. Reading is essential when it comes to education, and the conversation around censorship is a big topic as kids go back to school. Today, we're talking to a teacher accused of sharing inappropriate material with teens. Former high school English teacher Summer Boamia joins us. Joins us to share her side of the story. Summer, thank you so much for taking the time to share your side of the story on DBL.
I just want to get straight to it. A huge round of applause from me. I'm an enormous fan of yours, and I think as a whistleblower, you will be remembered very, very well in history. Talk to us why educators like yourself are worried that the rights of students are being taken away. Talk to us.
So currently in Oklahoma, there is legislation on the books known as HB 1775, colloquially as the anti-CRT law. Teachers are concerned that this is a violation of students' rights because what it has done in the past year, as it's been on the books, is it has allowed a small group of people to dictate which identities, perspectives, and conversations are allowed in our classrooms.
Now, Summer, this is a reach for me personally, but I do have to ask you this question because apparently you're being accused of providing students with access to pornographic material. What is that all about?
So the accusations around pornographic material stem from a few places, namely what I did in my classroom and why I'm here with you right now is I provided students a QR code since I could not have books on my shelves. This QR code links students to an e-card registration page for the Brooklyn Public Library. And so students 13 to 21 across the United States have free e-access thanks to the Brooklyn Library. This is a place where my students, if they were to choose to do that, could access any number of books, some of which have been censored and are in the process of being banned from Oklahoma classrooms and libraries.
Well, we appreciate you being on the show, and I will say that you're here on the show because you are a thought leader, and you, like our co-host Tori said, you are going to be remembered well in history. As a former educator, I taught middle school for 5 years. I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing so much, and I appreciate the risk you're taking because you had to know that This was going to ruffle some feathers with some parents who want you to face criminal charges. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So the conversation around those criminal charges, I think, stems from a particular book that is available on the Brooklyn Library's website, and that book is Gender Queer. So it is a memoir about, coming to terms and experiencing and going through, those gender identity issues and questions that I think a lot of adolescents face. In my opinion, this is a vital text, and it's a vital text for a number of my students who are experiencing similar things to see their perspectives centered and validated in our society.
Wow. So many questions. One, are you going to continue to teach, and do you regret sharing banned books with students?
I'll answer the second one first, actually. The short answer to that is no. I think, in this day and age, every teacher, every educator, especially ELA teachers and social studies teachers, have to choose the hills that they're going to die on. This has been one of mine from the very beginning. I firmly believe that I can't do what I have been trained to do and what I believe is right without, standing for that principle against censorship. So no, I don't regret doing what I did. I would do it again 1,000 times if I had to. As far as what's next for me, I just want to let folks out there know that, I'm not going anywhere. I may not be in a classroom right now, but as far as Oklahoma education goes, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to be present, and I hope to be present in the national conversation as well. Students deserve to see their lives validated.
I'm feeling a book here, and I feel like this should be your first stop.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Activist. You are already part of the national conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Summer. We appreciate you being here to share your story. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thanks, Summer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Whether you love it or hate it, pumpkin spice season is here, and people are using the flavoring in all sorts of foods and drinks. But despite its popularity, some people are still confused about what actually goes into the pumpkin spice seasoning in a pumpkin spice latte. This person on Twitter claims there isn't any pumpkin in pumpkin spice. But is that true? Let's verify. We spoke to a spice expert, a licensed dietitian and nutritionist, and spice manufacturer McCormick & Company to get to the bottom of this.
There is no pumpkin in the spice, but it's a blend of different spices that historically were used with pumpkin in pumpkin pies or pumpkin puddings.
The blend usually contains 4 to 5 other spices you probably have in your cabinet: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Spice giant McCormick & Company first introduced a commercial pumpkin pie spice to the U.S. in 1934. The goal was to flavor pumpkin pie all in one container, rather than bakers needing to get each individual spice. So we can verify, no, pumpkin spice does not contain any pumpkin. But despite the lack of pumpkin-y goodness in pumpkin spice, both Frisch and Andrew say it's still possible the latte drink that you order may in fact contain pumpkin these days. And as it turns out, we can verify that the PSL at Starbucks has both pumpkin spice seasoning, which does not contain pumpkin, and real pumpkin. It says so right here on the drink's ingredient list. With your Verify and my very own pumpkin spice latte, I'm Ariane Till. That's not bad.
Welcome back. Ever since the president announced he's forgiving between $10,000 and $20,000 in student loan debt for millions of Americans, well, there's been a ton of questions. So to help us get the facts on this, we are joined by the national host of TEGNA's very own Verify. They're a team of fact checkers that help sort through all the misinformation. Please welcome Ariane Daytil. There he is.
Hey, Ariane.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be back. Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you again, too. So let's start with this question. There have been reports that individual taxpayers will be on the hook for this debt relief. So, I guess it's to the tune of $2,000. That's the word on the street. So is this true? And do we know how all of this debt relief is getting paid for?
Yeah, that is certainly the word on the street. We've received so many questions about that topic too, and some of them stem from this post on Ted Cruz's website, where he claims that the average taxpayer would be on the hook for about $2,000 in extra taxes this year in order to pay for that relief plan. But guys, this is not true. Verify traced that $2,000 estimate back to a blog post from the National Taxpayers Union Foundation. It's this nonpartisan research and educational organization that shows Americans how taxes, government spending, and regulations affect them. But they are just estimates. Take a look at this one. It is the blog post that they posted, and you can see that $2,000 estimated cost per taxpayer right there in the headline. And they got that estimate by dividing the cost of the program, the big old number, by the number of taxpayers. But that is not how government spending works, and it's not how income taxes work. The money that you pay in income taxes, it is a percentage of what you make. So for taxes to be raised specifically to pay the debt for this forgiveness package, Congress would have to pass a bill changing our entire federal tax collection laws. And that hasn't happened, nor has it been proposed.
I love her, and I love that background, very minimal. All right, for those that are eligible, will you automatically receive the student loan forgiveness? Do you need to apply for it? Does it just happen?
Yeah, so for the 43 million Americans that could get their loans forgiven under this plan, only 8 million of those people don't have to lift a single finger in order to get their loans forgiven. And that is because the Department of Education already has their income data. But like I said, there are millions of others that do need to update that income data with the Department of Education. And as a result, they're going to have to fill out an application for the relief. And that is where the natural question is, so where can you fill out that application? Well, the form isn't available yet.
Oh, wow.
Much like the government, it's a little bit slow. So the Department of Education and the White House, they said that it will be available before December 31st, 2022, which is when the current pause on paying back your student loans ends and when you have to pay up that money. Now, if anyone would like to be notified about when that application is open, all you have to do is sign up with your email address on the Department of Education's website. Just make sure to click that little box that says Federal Student Loan Borrowers Updates.
Wow. All right. Well, I have another question for you. You are so knowledgeable. What about parents who are going to be like me that took out federal loans to pay for their kids' college? Are they eligible for student loan forgiveness?
Great question.
Yeah, the answer here is yes, with a caveat. 3 things have to be true. 1, the parent took out a Parent Plus loan or a Direct Plus loan for their child's education. 2, those loans are held by the Department of Education. And 3, you meet the income requirements. Now, to check if your loan is actually held by the Department of Education, all you have to do is sign in to studentaid.gov and check your account, or you can check with your loan servicer. But guys, at the heart of this question, I think that people are really wondering if parents and students that took out loans for that child's education can both receive relief under the plan. And the answer is yes, if they meet that income eligibility.
God, good to know. In fact, our viewer Barbara Spindler just wrote in, this is so important to know this factual, she put in all caps, factual information. Adion, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today on DBL. DBL Nation, if you see something you want the Verify team to look into, shoot them an email or a text or visit their website at verifythis.com. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
As people wait for more information from the Department of Education on what to do next to claim this loan forgiveness benefit, there's also the question of if the program could get tied up in court. The Biden administration points to something called the HEROES Act as giving them authority for the sweeping student debt cancellation program. So what is it and how is it connected with student loans? Our sources are the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students, or HEROES Act, the Department of Education, and the Biden administration. The HEROES Act was passed after 9/11. It allows for the forgiveness of student loan requirements during certain periods of hardship in the country, like during a war or national emergency. It became law while U.S. troops were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and lawmakers agreed they should be protected from growing loan burdens. This accompanying legal opinion cites the HEROES Act as justification for the debt cancellation program, which the Biden administration has said is directed at, quote, addressing the financial harms caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Education also stood on the HEROES Act to initially pause student loan collection in 2020 during the Trump administration. However, some say this is too broad an interpretation of the HEROES Act, or even a case of presidential overreach. Members of his own party have even long questioned if this is something the president has the authority to do. So how would a legal challenge happen? That's actually a big question here. With the way the judicial process works, someone would have to make the case that they've been personally harmed by this to have standing in court to challenge it. But it's something we know Republicans and conservative advocacy groups have already started talking about. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
At some point while searching for information about the DMV or other government services, you've probably ended up on a website like this one that claims to help drivers renew their license or change their address. But it's not a real government website. Instead, people were duped into paying money for what appeared to be government services, but were instead informational websites that sold user data and charged fees for guides that contained publicly available information. The Federal Trade Commission says this site and more than 200 others like it were shams run by a company called On Point Global. Verify viewer Benjamin received this postcard that claims he's entitled to a refund from On Point Global and wants to know if it's true. So Benjamin, let's verify. Is the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam real? Our sources are the FTC and court documents filed in the lawsuit of FTC, the On Point Global, and its subsidiaries. In 2021, the FTC won a lawsuit against On Point Global, ordering the company to shut down their sites and pay out $85 million to its victims. People who were affected were sent postcards and emails with instructions on how to file a claim. So, yes, the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam is real. Victims must make a claim by September 7th using the link on the FTC's website. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Okay, in regard to student loan forgiveness, Cheryl says so appreciative of people that know the facts.
Yeah.
Thank
that was
you,
a shot at us.
Student loans and civil war. Donnie, both of these first two topics that DBL brought up, we as a group need to talk to our friends, families, coworkers, anyone, and give them the factual information. Exactly. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show online. Watch on YouTube, dailyblastlive.com, or our mobile app. But if you get the second half of the show where you are, here is what's ahead. Chris Rock got an offer he apparently could refuse. The major deals he turned down after the Oscar slap, plus a star-studded event for Serena Williams' U.S. Open send-off. We'll show you the major celebs who were there to cheer her on.
You may have seen this meme circulating on social media that claims Florida banned this list of books from schools. It includes classics like To Kill a Mockingbird and The Catcher in the Rye. The list was shared by actor Mark Hamill, whose post received more than 160,000 likes. Verify viewers Lisa and Larry texted us to ask if this list is real. So, let's verify. Our sources are Florida's Student Development Standards, Florida House Bill 1467, and Brian Griffin, press secretary for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Griffin tells Verify neither the governor nor the state education department has the power to ban books in schools statewide. The decision of whether a book is appropriate for classrooms and school libraries is up to individual school districts. The new bill, HB 1467, also gives parents the chance to weigh in on whether they think a book is appropriate for their local district. So while there are books that are banned in some Florida school districts, the viral meme is not real. There is no state list of banned books. In fact, several of the books on the list, like Of Mice and Men and 1984, are included on the state's list of recommended books. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
A new school year means one thing, the return of those early alarm clocks. Let's connect the dots. Sleep experts say now is the time to start getting your kids used to waking up early. That's because younger kids usually need 10 to 11 hours of sleep each night to have the best performance in school. Teens need about 9 hours. Experts recommend you gradually adjust wake-up times over the next few days. moving up 15 to 30 minutes earlier every other day. This is also a good time to start what experts call good sleep hygiene habits. That means turning off electronics 30 minutes before bed. And that is connecting the dots.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No.
No.
Y'all, just
It's
stop.
finally here. Drum roll. Welcome to DBL. Oh, I've been looking forward to talking about this story. Okay, it was a star-studded and a family affair. Serena Williams played her final match. Can you guys believe it? In her final U.S. Open tournament. Serena won the match in straight sets yesterday. Her family was there to cheer her on. This makes me emotional. Watch this, including her daughter Olympia, who twinned with her mom. Olympia also, you may have noticed, wore similar braids in her hair. We put that on our DBL Instagram today. You got to go see that. That Serena, of course, wore when she won her first U.S. Open back in 1999. I could just stare at that photo. Stars were also packing the stands to see her play, like Hugh Jackman and his wife, along with Lindsey Vonn and Anthony Anderson. Vogue editor, of course she was there. Look at her with her sunglasses. Anna Wintour was spotted sitting in style. And check this out. It looked like, Bill Clinton might have been getting some advice from Dr. Ruth, huh? But there was also a case of mistaken identity in the stands involving actress Laverne Cox. Laverne reposted a tweet that identified her as the one and only Beyonce. Clearly flattered, she captioned the post, "Not me getting mistaken for Beyonce." Yes.
Biggest flex of your life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Erica, how would you say Serena changed the game of tennis? And then I also want to hear what your initial reaction was seeing that picture of Olympia in the braids from 1999.
You know, I think, Lord, when I've always said this, but when Serena and Venus came into the national stage, I mean, that was such a game changer for young girls like me in braids and beads,
Right.
to really feel like we had access and the ability to break ceilings. But I also look at young Olympia and look at the picture, of Venus and Serena from back, early on, and my heart, it's like the fact that Serena is considered the GOAT is something that is so deserved, because what those little girls had to go through from grown butt people and media and the scrutiny and speculation in order for them to get to where they are. Like, when we talk about breaking boundaries and ensuring that the generation behind us don't have it as hard, or making sure that they don't have to necessarily go through what we had to go through. I look at her daughter and I'm like, man, does she look at her every day and just think this was all for you?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I saw, just really quick, the New York Times had...
brought your newspaper
listen to
with your 10 marks all over it?
First impressions of a future champion. So it was what famous tennis people felt when they first saw Serena and Venus. Rick Macy is the famous coach that first saw them. Remember in the documentary, the King Richard. Yeah,
yep.
He says this. They ran so fast they almost fell down, and I went right up to Rich and I said, "You've got the next female Michael Jordan," referring to Venus, because she was older and better then. And Richard said, "No, I got the next two." Oh. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, if you watch King Richard, you see Serena kind of in the shadows of Venus until she, got older. But the whole time, I mean, she was just sitting on a pot of gold.
Both of them, yeah.
I mean, it's weird to say. I look at this and I think of myself, but in a weird way, I see her kind of at this crossroads. She is a young daughter now, and for her entire life since she was able to stand, she's been playing tennis and dominating it in a way that, no one ever has and probably no one ever will. And I didn't do that with comedy, but I did love comedy as a kid. I listened to records, I listened to tapes, I listened to old Carlin CDs before I ended up doing stand-up. And then when I had my kids, I was having this weird thing where I didn't want to. I used to love to jump on the plane. I have a hotel. They paid for my hotel. I was young and excited. They're giving me money to do stand-up, and as you grow and start to do TV, you're I think I'm a professional comic. And then you have kids, and now you don't want to get on that plane and you don't want to check into that hotel. And I was having this internal battle that I think that all athletes have. Dwayne Wade, when he retired, got a sports psychologist to help with that transition. And I think a lot of people, whether you play sports, whatever your job is, you're going to have a moment where something is more important than that. And probably, I know I was not ready to deal with that without professional help. So I definitely recognize her incredible career. And she's got a more important career, which is being a mama and a CEO, philanthropist, mogul.
Yep,
so, yes,
exactly.
this will not be the last time we hear from her.
Yep, well said, Al. So Chris Rock reportedly addressed the slap once again during a comedy show. While on stage in Arizona, Chris said he was asked to host the Oscars next year. But he said that would be like Nicole Brown Simpson returning to the restaurant. A reference to her murder, which happened after leaving an Italian restaurant. Chris also revealed he was asked to do a Super Bowl commercial after being slapped on stage, but also refused that offer. Do you think it was out of line for the Oscars to ask Chris to come back and host? What would you say, Erica?
Out of line? No, that's par for the course.
Why do you think he refused it?
Because he has dignity? I mean, like, it just seems like at this point, like, of course the Oscars is going to ask, and of course some brand is going to want him to really, to me, it's like play like some minstrel character on, like, you know, like, of course they want that because they want that recognition. They want those eyeballs. They want the notoriety on the back of his story. This is a situation where this man was the victim of someone else's assault. It was an assault in front of everybody. And now other entities really think that they're going to capitalize on his misfortune. He needs to make those lemons into lemonade on his own terms, in his own words, the way that he feels it's appropriate to do so.
On stage, on his own terms, to Erica's point.
Yeah,
he's
also,
doing it.
If you do it, like we said, like a Dorito commercial, it lessens the whole thing. Really, it really makes it commercial. It makes it not his. It's not his narration. It's now a joke. And although he will make it a joke, Chris Rock, he will make it a much more interesting, nuanced joke than a Doritos Cool Ranch, right? So bravo for him to saying, this is my story, I'll tell it.
That's what I wish Johnny Depp did. Not to compare the two, but Johnny Depp, listen, a lot of people would call Johnny Depp the victim. We all know that his hands were not clean in the matter either. But when we saw Johnny Depp come on the MTV Video Music Awards in like as an astronaut, it felt like it diminished the whole movement that supported him, in my opinion. It felt too soon.
Trivialized.
It felt trivial.
Yeah, I think that's what would have happened if Chris Rock had done a commercial making a parody of this, and they would have got a big check for that. But Chris Rock's not really worried about money at this point in his career. What he is in control of is his narrative and his leverage. And right now, doing any commercial would take away his leverage with this next Netflix or HBO special, whichever direction he wants to go, because this is the most anticipated comedy special of all time. And the way Chris Rock structures his jokes, I've listened to his bits hundreds of times. The way he structures things is he's going to take you down a path. It's going to be a little dark. It's going to be a little funny. There'll be side anecdotes. But he gets to now take that narrative, make it his own, and then, more importantly, put it to bed. Because if he makes a commercial and then makes another one in 3 months, it's just this thing, oh, that's the guy that thing happened to. But if he takes this once, does it in front of the world, and puts it to bed, he can move on with his career, and he'll get less questions about, tell us about the slap. He's like, I told you about the slap 2 specials ago.
So true. So Meghan Markle is once again speaking out about her break from the royal family. During her chat with The Cut magazine, Meghan dished on her strained relationship with royal life. While a royal, she revealed she was expected to share pictures of her son Archie with the British media, but refused because of their racist coverage of her. She also thought she could act the part of a princess because of her former profession. Meghan also said while she lost her dad due to quote-unquote toxic tabloid culture, it doesn't have to be the same for Harry and his dad, Prince Charles. She also said she and Harry wanted to have jobs and make their own money, but was told that wasn't something they were allowed to do, even though she said other members of the royal family have jobs like Princess Eugenie and Beatrice. In fact, one of them I know is an art gallery owner. The other one works in finance.
Yeah.
What would you say, Erica? Especially the part about the tabloid being forced to share pictures of your son?
Right. And people want to push back on that. Like, you have already made it very clear that you're racist as you know what, and you want for me to put my child out there so that you can manipulate his image or have anything to have people out there
expecting. Can you imagine the headlines that would be over that?
Yeah. I don't like. It's like don't pour water on my leg and tell me it is raining. You know, I mean, it's just the fact that people, and did y'all see Twitter? Because it was like a whole trending debacle over the weekend about people trying to come for Meghan Markle because her podcast was #1 in 10 countries. Okay, that's how you switch the narrative and own what it is that you're saying when you cannot be muzzled by anyone. I am so proud of this woman. If you are someone who is sitting in hate and you were upset that trending was #congratulations Meghan, then that's for you. Every time you want to go after people, especially with your hateful heart and hateful ways, energy comes in a lot of form, baby. And if people have a flexible mind, they can take that energy and make that into a comeback every time. So come with your hate, come with your nastiness, because the level of comebackery that some of us have is unprecedented, and Meghan Markle is leading the charge in this very moment.
Well, I mean, and I have to push back on this, and this will not be popular. But when you enter a situation like the monarchy, you have to know that there are going to be expectations of you when you show up in traditions. And one of them is that you probably will not be able to work. I mean, the racism is disgusting, obviously.
Put that aside.
So I wonder, does this fall more on her or more on Harry to tell her what she was walking into? Because she seemed, as I was, shocked at the vitriol that was thrown her way. But should she have been better prepared for that, Tori?
Very quickly, I would say it reminds me a lot of Princess Diana. She also thought, I can come in, I can modernize the monarchy. British people don't necessarily want that. They want traditional. Americans have a very different take on the royals. So at this point, I think they kept trying, and the royals, I think they were surprised at how firm and traditional the monarchy is going to stay.
I think we also very quickly forget that public sentiments were for Harry and Meghan until they got married, and then it became too much for Harry and Meghan.
Yes.
And I don't care what anybody says, that public smear campaign was to put them in their place. So of course anything that they wanted to do, it's like, could she have been prepared for it? I don't know. If you're going to be told that you're going to be punched in the head, do you know what being punched in the head really feels like until it actually happens to you?
But it
do
happened
you
to
know?
his mother. It happened to Diana.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you're talking about the idea of there being an evolution, when Diana became princess, were there any black people in the royal family? Like, I mean, there's so much that you're like, there's no way to anticipate the level of vitriol that they received and why and how. There's no way that anybody could have been prepared for that.
Well, speaking of the royal family, tomorrow we will all be looking back at the life of the late Princess Diana on the 25th anniversary of her death. In fact, Stephanie Jones will join us on the panel to talk about how Britain will be remembering the People's Princess. And coming up next on DBL, is it ever okay to expect money from a wealthy friend or family member if you're in trouble? Oh, Al already gave a little anecdote of his opinion. We're talking all about that. Plus, a new study reveals being left out of a social situation is a more common kind of bullying than anything physical.
Closed captioning provided by
DBL is all new every day.
To make a trip to visit them and her family. So that's the dilemma. So you can react to her story and then also go into how you guys handle people asking you for money. When is it okay?
And it's her friends, not even her family.
Yes.
Okay.
We
call this touchy because money is kind of uncomfortable, and we're going to talk about it openly in a public way, and that's not always like the most comfortable for everyone. And we all come from different places, so I wonder what you guys think. Would it ever be okay to expect things? I think Dear Abby's daughter went to my school.
You think?
I don't know, really. I think so, though. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, with the Chris Rock thing, it's like if he doesn't handle this the right way the first time, which he's the only person that can really articulate that, and he's practiced that for his entire life. I mean, this will just be something that will just haunt him. Everything he tries to do, it'll just be the thing that people know him for. It's like, in a weird way, Johnny Depp with the bed situation. You know, it's just like, yes, that was funny, but it's like at a point. when you see him as Captain Jack Sparrow, you're like, that's the guy whose bed was whatever.
I hate
destroyed.
that Johnny Depp. You're right, but I hate that Johnny Depp so quickly went on the VMAs and like, hey, I'm back, everybody. It
Right.
felt so like
it felt desperate to me.
It felt desperate. It felt like everything that Johnny was standing up for himself felt completely questioned at that point. As far as Chris Rock, I just respect his restraint. From day one, I would want to lash out.
That night, just imagine that night, not giving an off-camera interview. Like, you imagine, like, after a couple drinks in you, like, saying what you wanted to say?
So much restraint. Good on him.
Welcome back. Have you ever helped family or friends financially? Well, a woman is speaking out after some friends recently came into a big amount of money, $100,000, and they haven't offered to lend or give her any of it. This is her story. The woman is disabled, and it's been 10 years since she has been home to visit these friends and family. Every time she tries to save up the $1,000 needed to visit them, an urgent expense comes up, according to her. She's very hurt that the friends have not offered to help her since she was always generous when she had money. So, is it fair for her to expect her friends to help her? Tori, I'm going to start with you because I know how uncomfortable you get just like talking about finances.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, and I like that we're being open about it. My first reaction and instinct is absolutely not. You have no expectation that someone's going to help you. That's your money. That's your take.
Even if you're friends?
Yeah, even if I'm really close with you. And I think when you do meet a partner, whether it's whoever it is, you should talk about money and whether you're a frugal person or a spender and what yours is, because money, sex, and religion should be discussed beforehand. But for me, money is personal and should be not expected at all. I find that a little rude, to be honest.
Eric, is it the expectation that
I think it is the expectation.
As opposed to, like, if they came to you, would you be willing to help, or is it just because this person expects it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the circumstances of how they came to me, but I am a person, like, if someone had a family emergency or something and they couldn't get there, I would pay for that ticket. I wouldn't give them the money, but I would pay for the ticket.
Meaning you would loan the money?
I would actually physically pay for the ticket for them to get to wherever they needed to go. But I am very much like no, don't ask me for money.
You can't. It's the end of the friendship. And I think people forget with money, it's like, yes, the cash is there, but with any relationship, the relationship you have with anybody, there's a power dynamic there. Whether you want to see it or not, there's a power dynamic. And when you add money to anything, now the power dynamic is totally shifted. And even though that $1,000 to get her to come visit you, Sam, you'd be like, oh, my friend, she's going to come, whatever. Now she's like, I bet you Sam wants me to pay her back right now. Look, she's not even looking at me in the kid. Like, it will change everything.
That is the truth. It's always the person who loaned the money from you that turns on you.
And
it's like a very, there's like no good deed goes unpunished. I am very triggered right now, okay?
I've been there.
I'm not even thinking about that $300 until now. But you better call me.
Oh, boy.
I feel you, Erica.
Oh, boy.
What I don't like is the assumption, assuming that this, woman, family, let's say a lot of Americans are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000 in debt with credit cards. Then you add on student loan debt. Then you add on, let's say they have children. Maybe they're saving money to pay off the house, to save up to pay for tuition. You don't know if this $100,000 isn't gone.
It might be gone already.
Thank you.
It might be gone already.
So don't assume that they're like sitting on a pot of gold.
It's
Come
very
on
weird.
now.
It makes it assume. We're
just going to let that pot of gold slide?
Yeah.
All right. I'm talking like a leprechaun.
We'll be right back.
Whether you love it or hate it, pumpkin spice season is here, and people are using the flavoring in all sorts of foods and drinks. But despite its popularity, some people are still confused about what actually goes into the pumpkin spice seasoning in a pumpkin spice latte. This person on Twitter claims there isn't any pumpkin in pumpkin spice. But is that true? Let's verify. We spoke to a spice expert, a licensed dietitian and nutritionist, and spice manufacturer McCormick & Company to get to the bottom of this.
There is no pumpkin in the spice, but it's a blend of different spices that historically were used with pumpkin in pumpkin pies or pumpkin puddings.
The blend usually contains 4 to 5 other spices you probably have in your cabinet: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Spice giant McCormick & Company first introduced a commercial pumpkin pie spice to the US in 1934. The goal was to flavor pumpkin pie all in one container, rather than bakers needing to get each individual spice. So we can verify, no, pumpkin spice does not contain any pumpkin. But despite the lack of pumpkin-y goodness in pumpkin spice, both Frisch and Andrew say it's still possible the latte drink that you order may in fact contain pumpkin these days. And as it turns out, we can verify that the PSL at Starbucks has both pumpkin spice seasoning, which does not contain pumpkin, and real pumpkin. It says so right here on the drink's ingredient list. With your Verify and my very own pumpkin spice latte, I'm Ariane Till. That's not bad.
Welcome back to DBL. Believe it or not, the most common type of bullying isn't with fists, it's actually social exclusion. So according to a new study, socially excluding peers from group activities or spreading harmful rumors is the most common type of bullying in schools. In fact, researchers say being excluded by peers is just as detrimental as getting kicked, punched, or slapped every day. So this study got us thinking, are kids the only ones affected by social exclusion? Has this happened to you? When? How? Tori, on our group thread, you'll always joke around about like your FOMO, which is fear of missing out. If we ever do something and you're not able to make it. Right. Talk to me more about that.
Because it's real.
It's so real. Like, I was going to make a joke about this, and then I just started kind of getting emotional. When cavemen and women were together, they found they would live longer as groups, right? So they would hunt together and the women would gather and make the fires. So in my lizard brain, it's vitally important that
You've lost Al.
No, I haven't. He gets it.
No, I'm still here.
You're still here.
I'm still here.
It's vitally important that I'm surrounding myself with social people to exist. To me, for someone who's socially an extrovert, it's as if you're gonna die.
Wow.
And it's as if there's a panic, like it's dangerous. And I was bullied not with slaps and punches and all that, but a lot of mean girls, mean guys, social exclusion. And when you feel the slap or the feel of it as you leaves, it physically hurts. It physically makes you want to sort of vomit in a way. And I'm being graphic because I want people to understand what social media could possibly doing to your children, because it is not a little thing. I had to confront 2 bullies. One didn't go very well because my mom made me do it, but it is it's very threatening. It's very threatening.
Do you, and this is just because you suffer from FOMO and I suffer from NOMO, as in I don't want to go NOMO. I'm being honest because it's like I hear you and I'm like definitely feeling, I feel your emotion about it. I question if sometimes you are projecting your desire and your reality onto people who aren't thinking that same way. Because for me, I don't think about, like, if you and Sam were to go to get lunch and I wasn't a part of that, I'd be like, oh, how was lunch? Like I wouldn't be like, crazy. Why wasn't I with you?
What if all of us went to lunch except for you?
That's happened before.
I mean, what if it happened a couple times in a row?
It's happened.
Yeah, me too over here.
Like, it's happened. I don't think it's like, oh, so what? Oh, so y'all were at Vesper? Okay, cool. Like, how did it go? Okay.
You don't really
like,
feel
I don't think.
No, I do, and I get it. But Erica's point is the intention, right? Like, if you guys go out on a Friday, you assume I need to get back to my kids. And I do. You're accurate. You're right. But of course, there's always some FOMO. Wow. All right, we got a hard out. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Darlings.
As people wait for more information from the Department of Education on what to do next to claim this loan forgiveness benefit, there's also the question of if the program could get tied up in court. The Biden administration points to something called the HEROES Act as giving them authority for the sweeping student debt cancellation program. So what is it and how is it connected with student loans?
Our sources are the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students, or HEROES Act, the Department of Education, and the Biden administration. The HEROES Act was passed after 9/11. It allows for the forgiveness of student loan requirements during certain periods of hardship in the country, like during a war or national emergency. It became law while U.S. troops were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and lawmakers agreed they should be protected from growing loan burdens. This accompanying legal opinion cites the HEROES Act as justification for the debt cancellation program, which the Biden administration has said is directed at, quote, addressing the financial harms caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Education also stood on the HEROES Act to initially pause student loan collection in 2020 during the Trump administration. However, some say this is too broad an interpretation of the HEROES Act, or even a case of presidential overreach. Members of his own party have even long questioned if this is something the president has the authority to do.
So how would a legal challenge happen? That's actually a big question here. With the way the judicial process works, someone would have to make the case that they've been personally harmed by this to have standing in court to challenge it. But it's something we know Republicans and conservative advocacy groups have already started talking about. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
At some point while searching for information about the DMV or other government services, you've probably ended up on a website like this one that claims to help drivers renew their license or change their address. But it's not a real government website. Instead, people were duped into paying money for what appeared to be government services, but were instead informational websites that sold user data and charged fees for guides that contained publicly available information. The Federal Trade Commission says this site and more than 200 others like it were shams run by a company called On Point Global. Verify viewer Benjamin received this postcard that claims he's entitled to a refund from On Point Global and wants to know if it's true. So Benjamin, let's verify. Is the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam real? Our sources are the FTC and court documents filed in the lawsuit of FTC, the On Point Global, and its subsidiaries. In 2021, the FTC won a lawsuit against On Point Global, ordering the company to shut down their sites and pay out $85 million to its victims. People who were affected were sent postcards and emails with instructions on how to file a claim. So, yes, the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam is real. Victims must make a claim by September 7th using the link on the FTC's website. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it
You're
out.
out of time, but great conversations today, and you opening up about that.
Yeah, I hope I don't sound crazy, but that's how I really feel.
No, that's real. Thank you for your honesty.
Totally.
DBL's new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Where hope finds help. Where courage meets conviction. Where makers make fans. We are Tegna, a family of local and national media brands that bring us together, serving the greater good of our communities. Where national know-how backs local business. Be in good company with Tegna.
Am I going crazy?
I just love your passion right now.
I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, let me get on it. You just got me all riled up. Who raised you?
This is a win, right, guys? Why am I right all the time?
I live my life for Spike. Welcome to another week of Jeff's Mustache.
I didn't expect that. I love this segment.
Yes.
You just made my day, my week, my month, my year. DBL is all new every day.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
A new poll says America is more divided than ever, but could we really be headed for a civil war? The teacher who made headlines for giving kids access to banned books is here live. What does she have to say to the people who want her facing criminal charges? Setting the record straight on student loan forgiveness. We've got the facts to debunk the misinformation that's spreading online. And a star-studded U.S. Open send-off for Serena Williams.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Finally here, drum roll.
Oh, are you going to turn that into a laugh?
No.
Oh, Al was just criticizing me, and then right when the camera turned on, he turned it into
The
a
mask
giggle.
comes on.
He gaslit you.
We see right
every morning.
Yeah, we see right through. Okay, we have to talk about this. I know that our viewers feel this way. Many of us do. So let's unpack it. Whenever you turn on the news, it does seem like that there's story after story showing just how divided America is right now. Like in Texas, there was a drag brunch for kids over the weekend. However, armed groups from both sides showed up and faced off with each other. There's also all this uproar over Hunter Biden's laptop, and now GOP senators are demanding answers over the FBI possibly burying the story. Even former President Trump is now demanding he be declared the winner of the 2020 election over the whole thing. So how divided are we really? Well, a recent poll showed that more than 40% of Americans think that a civil war is likely in the next decade. So DBL Nation, I'm reading your comments, but we want to continue to hear from you. Are we headed, in your opinion, in that direction? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. Al?
I keep thinking back to January 6th. We had a bunch of armed extremists right at the Capitol steps. They had headsets, Erica. They had a battle plan. They were going underground. They had a plan to bring guns over, it was at the Delaware. And no one did anything. No one did anything. And I wonder why. And I think it's because at everybody's core, no matter how much rhetoric you use, no matter if you actually show up at the event, no matter if you yell or show up with a bat, nobody really wants that civil war smoke. Because if we're in a civil war and you do something to me, that's going to affect your family as well, because now your family's in a civil war. Nobody wants to live like that. They keep trying to tell us that we're divided, but we are not divided on legalizing marijuana. A lot of states have already done it. It's very popular. We were not divided on abortion. It was a very popular pro-choice referendum in this country. And we haven't been divided on a number of gay marriage. Assault weapons. All these things are things that people are for. The reason that they are being held up and not changed is because of what's going on in our government. I don't think that people really want a civil war, but I think it's great to talk about it and pontificate about it. But what would that even look like in 2022?
I disagree. I think that there is a contingency of people out there who absolutely want a civil war. They want the unrest. They want the chaos. They want to overthrow the government. And why? Because they are so disenfranchised, either in their heads or they're disenfranchised in the reality of the situation. And anything, in order to upset the balance, will work in their favor. Like, you're talking about it from a standpoint of someone who, you are living your life in a way that it makes sense that you want to have some degree of harmony and civility. But there are people out there who are living a reality, whether it's a true reality or the one they've made up in their head, that anything is better than what is happening now. And these, quote, outliers, who I don't even feel are truly outliers. These are people who, in the moment that if there was a separation, let's say it's an aesthetic one, let's just use black and white because this is America. They're able to turn to look like whatever they need to look like in order to be on the winning side of whatever is happening. So I do think that there is a fear that should be at least thought about and explored in all of our hearts and minds, because there are a lot of people out there who do not love the way that their lives in this country are going, and they will do anything to upset that balance.
I wonder, though, if you were to ask, and I agree with you, but let's look back to like 1968, right? Let's look back to 1975. 1984, like even when was same-sex marriage passed? 2008?
Yeah, during Obama. Yeah.
So, and if I got that wrong, please somebody correct me. Would your grandmother say that times are better now than they were before? What would you say to that?
I don't know what my grandmother would say.
Well, what do
honest.
you feel? Do you feel that we've made some progress?
I think there's always progress. But I also think that there's always a certain amount of regression. And I say that because anytime there's progress made, there's always going to be a, but what about, but look at. And then we stop looking at, it's like, is the glass half full or the glass half empty?
Right.
So I think that we are in some ways progressing, but in a lot of ways we are regressing.
Yeah, I think both of you are right, which is an annoying thing to say. But if you do bring back 1968, presidents were shot. Like RFK, would-be presidents were shot. MLK, leaders were shot, assassinated. The Chicago riots, the Democratic Convention, that's 1 year. We've had really bad times in America before. There was actually a whole war where we fought against one another. I don't think things are there at all. I think the media has brought this up and made it very polarizing. However, and I say this with respect, usually something comes along and is a catalyst for something once a generation. I believe Trump represents or gives permission for people to really speak out to their neighbors and say, I don't like where you're from, go back to blank. That's shifted to where now neighbor versus neighbor is like in maybe a possible war.
I don't know. Okay, and Al, please jump in. Like, I agree with the both of you that we feel very divided. However, I see that on my Facebook account. I see that on Twitter. When I'm out and about grabbing a coffee, and I get it, I'm white, I get my privilege, but still, when I'm out and about getting to know my neighbors, whether or not we have different or same political beliefs, there is a commonality of respect and family and community as opposed to what I see on Facebook. I think we see a different person behind a keyboard than we see if you were my next door neighbor.
Absolutely.
You see people all the time.
But what if you see that person on a red MAGA hat?
But
that changes things.
I don't know if that does.
For me, it does.
I think that there have been extremists. I don't think there's any more or less of anything ever in the history of time. I think that extremists have been highlighted. The domestic terrorist group was dismantled when Trump came in. So now we have more white nationalists that are getting prominent FaceTime on national news. But when I'm out and about, when I talk to people after shows, I talk to thousands of people a year. I don't see this. I know I'm talking to them in a certain situation, but that's the only situation we'll ever interact with.
I don't agree at all, and I think that it's a privilege to not see it or not have to see it.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
No, I'm telling you now. I have so insulated and isolated myself because I just truly, it's not even that it affects me on a personal level, it's that I choose joy and softness in this moment in my life. But I, at least once a week, get approached by someone who says something to either, they basically want to have DBL at the grocery store, and they want to come to me to give me their side of the coin because they may have heard me say something when I'm at work. I'm off the clock. Okay, I'm not interested in having this conversation with you in the real world. I have been at private events and had people come up and say something to get me to respond in a certain way. I have been called names and had things like under my breath. And we live in Denver, and not to say that Denver's okay. I mean, hello, Elijah McClain.
That's real. Let's look at 4% of you say yes, wow, America is headed for another civil war. That's our viewers for you. And also 2015 was the legalization of same-sex marriage.
Excellent.
2015, that was not that long ago. Coming up on DBL, a fact check of President Biden's student loan forgiveness. Will taxpayers really be on the hook for this? And the teacher who made headlines for giving her students access to banned books is here live. She's giving her side of the story next.
Closed captioning provided by
Posh.
Am I going crazy? Who raised you?
Why am I right all the time?
Welcome to another week of Jeff's Mustache.
You just made my day, my week, my month, my year.
I also have
think it's just lighting.
So obviously we're going to continue the conversation about civil wars, and just like to further my point, like I
much paler
don't
and yellower.
for one second think that there's not a group of people that want to escalate things. We've seen those people constantly. We see them at drag brunches now.
Up a little bit and not as
What
yellow.
I don't see is people being able to mobilize and convince other people that their lives should change forever, where now it is dangerous to go to the grocery store, even though it is. But you know what I'm saying, where people are shooting at people you love, and you're shooting at people that other people love. When you start that, when you go down that road, when you start shooting at people's kids, it's going to be a different story. And that's what I'm saying. That next level, I don't know what it would take to get there, but I don't.
Don't you see? You're already seeing that in certain places.
I think people are ultimately selfish, and they don't want that for their lives.
I think I'm already seeing it in pockets.
There's always pockets of extremists.
Came over here to say.
Always.
Agreed, but I think extremist is you're making it more fringe than it is. I think they were this close to taking over our diplomacy.
I think that there were some factors in place in the fact that we didn't have any Capitol Police there. I think there were some issues there that were on the inside.
Erica,
but I think for the most part,
saying,
people
don't come for Erica when she's off the clock.
You know, I was thinking about that.
Right here. She said she's off the clock. Don't bother our Erica, please. Let her shop in peace.
If someone could pin, it'd be helpful.
Yes, please don't come for me off the clock.
I know, but can you tell? Can we get one more pin? Yeah. Okay. I just think I can get right here.
30 seconds.
We'll do it later.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter answers your questions, clarifies what's true and false, and even includes a daily fun fact. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. Reading is essential when it comes to education, and the conversation around censorship is a big topic as kids go back to school. Today, we're talking to a teacher accused of sharing inappropriate material with teens. Former high school English teacher Summer Boamia joins us. Joins us to share her side of the story. Summer, thank you so much for taking the time to share your side of the story on DBL.
I just want to get straight to it. A huge round of applause for me. I'm an enormous fan of yours, and I think as a whistleblower, you will be remembered very, very well in history. Talk to us why educators like yourself are worried that the rights of students are being taken away. Talk to us.
So currently in Oklahoma, there is legislation on the books known as HB 1775, colloquially as the anti-CRT law. Teachers are concerned that this is a violation of students' rights because what it has done in the past year, as it's been on the books, is it has allowed a small group of people to dictate which identities, perspectives, and conversations are allowed in our classrooms.
Now, Summer, this is a reach for me personally, but I do have to ask you this question because apparently you're being accused of providing students with access to pornographic material. What is that all about?
So the accusations around pornographic material stem from a few places, namely what I did in my classroom and why I'm here with you right now is I provided students a QR code since I could not have books on my shelves. This QR code links students to an e-card registration page for the Brooklyn Public Library. And so students 13 to 21 across the United States have free e-access thanks to the Brooklyn Library. This is a place where my students, if they were to choose to do that, could access any number of books, some of which have been censored and are in the process of being banned from Oklahoma classrooms and libraries.
Well, we appreciate you being on the show, and I will say that you're here on the show because you are a thought leader, and you, like our co-host Tori said, you are going to be remembered well in history. As a former educator, I taught middle school for 5 years. I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing so much, and I appreciate the risk you're taking because you had to know that this was going to ruffle some feathers with some parents who want you to face criminal charges. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So the conversation around those criminal charges, I think, stems from a particular book that is available on the Brooklyn Library's website, and that book is Gender Queer. So it is a memoir about, coming to terms and experiencing and going through, those gender identity issues and questions that I think a lot of adolescents face. In my opinion, this is a vital text, and it's a vital text for a number of my students who are experiencing similar things to see their perspectives centered and validated in our society.
Wow. So many questions. One, are you going to continue to teach, and do you regret sharing banned books with students?
I'll answer the second one first, actually. The short answer to that is no. I think, in this day and age, every teacher, every educator, especially ELA teachers and social studies teachers, have to choose the hills that they're going to die on. This has been one of mine from the very beginning. I firmly believe that I can't do what I have been trained to do and what I believe is right without, standing for that principle against censorship. So no, I don't regret doing what I did. I would do it again 1,000 times if I had to. As far as what's next for me, I just want to let folks out there know that, I'm not going anywhere. I may not be in a classroom right now, but as far as Oklahoma education goes, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to be present, and I hope to be present in the national conversation as well. Students deserve to see their lives validated.
I'm feeling a book here, and I feel like this should be your first stop.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Activists. You are already part of the national conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Summer. We appreciate you being here to share your story. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thanks, Summer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Whether you love it or hate it, pumpkin spice season is here, and people are using the flavoring in all sorts of foods and drinks. But despite its popularity, some people are still confused about what actually goes into the pumpkin spice seasoning in a pumpkin spice latte. This person on Twitter claims there isn't any pumpkin in pumpkin spice. But is that true? Let's verify. We spoke to a spice expert, a licensed dietitian and nutritionist, and spice manufacturer McCormick & Company to get to the bottom of this.
There is no pumpkin in the spice, but it's a blend of different spices that historically were used with pumpkin in pumpkin pies or pumpkin puddings.
The blend usually contains 4 to 5 other spices you probably have in your cabinet: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Spice giant McCormick & Company first introduced a commercial pumpkin pie spice to the US in 1934. The goal was to flavor pumpkin pie all in one container, rather than bakers needing to get each individual spice. So we can verify, no. Pumpkin spice does not contain any pumpkin. But despite the lack of pumpkin-y goodness in pumpkin spice, both Frisch and Andrew say it's still possible the latte drink that you order may in fact contain pumpkin these days. And as it turns out, we can verify that the PSL at Starbucks has both pumpkin spice seasoning, which does not contain pumpkin, and real pumpkin. It says so right here on the drink's ingredient list. With your Verify and my very own pumpkin spice latte, I'm Ariane Till. That's not bad.
Welcome back. Ever since the president announced he's forgiving between $10,000 and $20,000 in student loan debt for millions of Americans, well, there's been a ton of questions. So to help us get the facts on this, we are joined by the national host of TEGNA's very own Verify. They're a team of fact checkers that help sort through all the misinformation. Please welcome Ariane Daytil. There he is.
Hey, Ariane.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be back. Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you again, too. So let's start with this question. There have been reports that individual taxpayers will be on the hook for this debt relief. So, I guess it's to the tune of $2,000. That's the word on the street. So is this true? And do we know how all of this debt relief is getting paid for?
Yeah, that is certainly the word on the street. We've received so many questions about that topic too, and some of them stem from this post on Ted Cruz's website, where he claims that the average taxpayer would be on the hook for about $2,000 in extra taxes this year in order to pay for that relief plan. But guys, this is not true. Verify traced that $2,000 estimate back to a blog post from the National Taxpayers Union Foundation. It's this nonpartisan research and educational organization that shows Americans how taxes, government spending, and regulations affect them. But they are just estimates. Take a look at this one. It is the blog post that they posted, and you can see that $2,000 estimated cost per taxpayer right there in the headline. And they got that estimate by dividing the cost of the program, the big old number, by the number of taxpayers. But that is not how government spending works, and it's not how income taxes work. The money that you pay in income taxes, it is a percentage of what you make. So for taxes to be raised specifically to pay the debt for this forgiveness package, Congress would have to pass a bill changing our entire federal tax collection laws. And that hasn't happened, nor has it been proposed.
I love her, and I love that background, very minimal. All right, for those that are eligible, will you automatically receive the student loan forgiveness? Do you need to apply for it? Does it just happen?
Yeah, so for the 43 million Americans that could get their loans forgiven under this plan, only 8 million of those people don't have to lift a single finger in order to get their loans forgiven. And that is because the Department of Education already has their income data. But like I said, there are millions of others that do need to update that income data with the Department of Education. And as a result, they're going to have to fill out an application for the relief. And that is where the natural question is, so where can you fill out that application? Well, the form isn't available yet.
Oh, wow.
Much like the government, it's a little bit slow. So the Department of Education and the White House, they said that it will be available before December 31st, 2022, which is when the current pause on paying back your student loans ends and when you have to pay up that money. Now, if anyone would like to be notified about when that application is open, all you have to do is sign up with your email address on the Department of Education's website. Just make sure to click that little box that says Federal Student Loan Borrowers Updates.
Wow. All right. Well, I have another question for you. You are so knowledgeable. What about parents who are going to be like me that took out federal loans to pay for their kids' college? Are they eligible for student loan forgiveness?
Great question.
Yeah, the answer here is yes, with a caveat. 3 things have to be true. 1, the parent took out a Parent Plus loan or a Direct Plus loan for their child's education. 2, those loans are held by the Department of Education. And 3, you meet the income requirements. Now, to check if your loan is actually held by the Department of Education, all you have to do is sign in to studentaid.gov and check your account, or you can check with your loan servicer. But guys, at the heart of this question, I think that people are really wondering if parents and students that took out loans for that child's education can both receive relief under the plan. And the answer is yes, if they meet that income eligibility.
God, good to know. In fact, our viewer Barbara Spindler just wrote in, this is so important to know this factual, she put in all caps, factual information. Adion, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today on DBL. DBL Nation, if you see something you want the Verify team to look into, shoot them an email or a text or visit their website at verifythis.com. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
As people wait for more information from the Department of Education on what to do next to claim this loan forgiveness benefit, there's also the question of if the program could get tied up in court. The Biden administration points to something called the HEROES Act as giving them authority for the sweeping student debt cancellation program. So what is it and how is it connected with student loans?
Our sources are the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students, or HEROES Act, the Department of Education, and the Biden administration. The HEROES Act was passed after 9/11. It allows for the forgiveness of student loan requirements during certain periods of hardship in the country, like during a war or national emergency. It became law while U.S. troops were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and lawmakers agreed they should be protected from growing loan burdens. This accompanying legal opinion cites the HEROES Act as justification for the debt cancellation program, which the Biden administration has said is directed at, quote, addressing the financial harms caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Education also stood on the HEROES Act to initially pause student loan collection in 2020 during the Trump administration. However, some say this is too broad an interpretation of the HEROES Act, or even a case of presidential overreach. Members of his own party have even long questioned if this is something the president has the authority to do.
So how would a legal challenge happen? That's actually a big question here. With the way the judicial process works, someone would have to make the case that they've been personally harmed by this to have standing in court to challenge it. But it's something we know Republicans and conservative advocacy groups have already started talking about. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
At some point while searching for information about the DMV or other government services, you've probably ended up on a website like this one that claims to help drivers renew their license or change their address. But it's not a real government website. Instead, people were duped into paying money for what appeared to be government services, but were instead informational websites that sold user data and charged fees for guides that contained publicly available information. The Federal Trade Commission says this site and more than 200 others like it were shams run by a company called On Point Global. Verify viewer Benjamin received this postcard that claims he's entitled to a refund from On Point Global and wants to know if it's true. So Benjamin, let's verify. Is the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam real? Our sources are the FTC and court documents filed in the lawsuit of FTC, the On Point Global, and its subsidiaries. In 2021, the FTC won a lawsuit against On Point Global, ordering the company to shut down their sites and pay out $85 million to its victims. People who were affected were sent postcards and emails with instructions on how to file a claim. So, yes, the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam is real. Victims must make a claim by September 7th using the link on the FTC's website. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Okay, in regard to student loan forgiveness, Cheryl says, so appreciative of people that know the facts.
Yeah.
Thank
that was
you,
a shot
Adion.
at us.
Student loans and civil war. Donnie, both of these first two topics that DBL brought up, we as a group need to talk to our friends, families, coworkers, anyone, and give them the factual information. Exactly. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show online. Watch on YouTube, dailyblastlive.com, or our mobile app. But if you get the second half of the show where you are, here is what's ahead. Chris Rock got an offer he apparently could refuse. The major deals he turned down after the Oscar slap, plus a star-studded event for Serena Williams' U.S. Open send-off. We'll show you the major celebs who were there to cheer her on.
You may have seen this meme circulating on social media that claims Florida banned this list of books from schools. It includes classics like To Kill a Mockingbird and The Catcher in the Rye. The list was shared by actor Mark Hamill, whose post received more than 160,000 likes. Verify viewers Lisa and Larry texted us to ask if this list is real. So, let's verify. Our sources are Florida's Student Development Standards, Florida House Bill 1467, and Brian Griffin, press secretary for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Griffin tells Verify neither the governor nor the state education department has the power to ban books in schools statewide. The decision of whether a book is appropriate for classrooms and school libraries is up to individual school districts. The new bill, HB 1467, also gives parents the chance to weigh in on whether they think a book is appropriate for their local district. So while there are books that are banned in some Florida school districts, the viral meme is not real. There is no state list of banned books. In fact, several of the books on the list, like Of Mice and Men and 1984, are included on the state's list of recommended books. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
A new school year means one thing.
the return of those early alarm clocks. Let's connect the dots. Sleep experts say now is the time to start getting your kids used to waking up early. That's because younger kids usually need 10 to 11 hours of sleep each night to have the best performance in school. Teens need about 9 hours. Experts recommend you gradually adjust wake-up times over the next few days, moving up 15 to 30 minutes earlier every other day. This is also a good time to start what experts call good sleep hygiene habits. That means turning off electronics 30 minutes before bed. And that is connecting the dots.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No.
No.
Y'all, just
It's
stop.
finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Oh, I've been looking forward to talking about this story. Okay, it was a star-studded and a family affair. Serena Williams played her final match. Can you guys believe it? In her final U.S. Open tournament. Serena won the match in straight sets yesterday. Her family was there to cheer her on. This makes me emotional. Watch this, including her daughter Olympia, who twinned with her mom. Olympia also, you may have noticed, wore similar braids in her hair. We put that on our DBL Instagram today. You got to go see that. That Serena, of course, wore when she won her first U.S. Open back in 1999. I could just stare at that photo. Stars were also packing the stands to see her play, like Hugh Jackman and his wife, along with Lindsey Vonn and Anthony Anderson. Vogue editor, of course she was there. Look at her with her sunglasses. Anna Wintour was spotted sitting in style. And check this out. It looked like, Bill Clinton might have been getting some advice from Dr. Ruth, huh? But there was also a case of mistaken identity in the stands involving actress Laverne Cox. Laverne reposted a tweet that identified her as the one and only Beyonce. Clearly flattered, she captioned the post, "Not me getting mistaken for Beyonce." Yes.
Biggest flex of your life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Erica, how would you say Serena changed the game of tennis? And then I also want to hear what your initial reaction was seeing that picture of Olympia in the braids from 1999.
You know, I think, Lord, when I've always said this, but when Serena and Venus came into the national stage, I mean, that was such a game changer for young girls like me in braids and beads, right. To really feel like we had access and the ability to break ceilings. But I also look at young Olympia and look at the picture, of Venus and Serena from back, early on, and my heart, it's like the fact that Serena is considered the GOAT is something that is so deserved, because what those little girls had to go through from grown butt people and media and the scrutiny and speculation in order for them to get to where they are. Like, when we talk about breaking boundaries and ensuring that the generation behind us don't have it as hard, or making sure that they don't have to necessarily go through what we had to go through. I look at her daughter and I'm like, man, does she look at her every day and just think this was all for you? Wow.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I saw, just really quick, the New York Times had...
You brought your newspaper with your 10 marks all over it?
First impressions of a future champion. So it was what famous tennis people felt when they first saw Serena and Venus. Rick Macy is the famous coach that first saw them. Remember in the documentary, the King Richard. Yeah, yep. He says this. They ran so fast they almost fell down, and I went right up to Rich and I said, "You've got the next female Michael Jordan," referring to Venus, because she was older and better then. And Richard said, "No, I got the next two." Oh, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, if you watch King Richard, you see Serena kind of in the shadows of Venus until she, got older. But the whole time, I mean, she was just sitting on a pot of gold.
Both of them, yeah.
I mean, it's weird to say. I look at this and I think of myself, but in a weird way, I see her kind of at this crossroads. She is a young daughter now, and for her entire life since she was able to stand, she's been playing tennis and dominating it in a way that no one ever has and probably no one ever will. And I didn't do that with comedy, but I did love comedy as a kid. I listened to records, I listened to tapes, I listened to old Carlin CDs before I ended up doing stand-up. And then when I had my kids, I was having this weird thing where I didn't want to I used to love to jump on the plane. Like, I have a hotel. They paid for my hotel. I was like young and excited. Like, they're giving me money to do stand-up, you know? and like, you know, as you grow and start to do TV, you're like, I think I'm a professional comic. And then you have kids, and now you don't want to get on that plane, and you don't want to check into that hotel. And I was having this internal battle that I think that all athletes have. Dwayne Wade, when he retired, got a sports psychologist to help with that transition. And I think a lot of people, whether you play sports, whatever your job is, you're going to have a moment where something is more important than that. And probably, I know I was not ready to deal with that without professional help. So I definitely recognize her incredible career. And she's got a more important career, which is being a mama and a CEO, philanthropist, mogul.
Yep,
so, yes,
exactly.
This will not be the last time we hear from her.
Yep, well said, Al. So Chris Rock reportedly addressed the slap once again during a comedy show. While on stage in Arizona, Chris said he was asked to host the Oscars next year. But he said that would be like Nicole Brown Simpson returning to the restaurant. A reference to her murder, which happened after leaving an Italian restaurant. Chris also revealed he was asked to do a Super Bowl commercial after being slapped on stage, but also refused that offer. Do you think it was out of line for the Oscars to ask Chris to come back and host? What would you say, Erica?
Out of line? No, that's par for the course.
Why do you think he refused it?
Because he has dignity? I mean, like, it just seems like at this point, like, of course the Oscars is going to ask, and of course some brand is going to want him to really, to me, it's like play like some minstrel character on, like, you know, like, of course they want that because they want that recognition. They want those eyeballs. They want the notoriety on the back of his story. This is a situation where this man was the victim of someone else's assault. It was an assault in front of everybody. And now other entities really think that they're going to capitalize on his misfortune. He needs to make those lemons into lemonade on his own terms, in his own words, the way that he feels it's appropriate to do
on stage, on his own terms, to Erica's point.
Yeah,
he's
also,
doing it.
If you do it, like we said, like a Dorito commercial, it lessens the whole thing. Really, it really makes it commercial. It makes it not his. It's not his narration. It's now a joke. And although he will make it a joke, Chris Rock, he will make it a much more interesting, nuanced joke than a Doritos Cool Ranch, right? So bravo for him to saying, this is my story, I'll tell it.
That's what I wish Johnny Depp did. Not to compare the two, but Johnny Depp, listen, a lot of people would call Johnny Depp the victim. We all know that his hands were not clean in the matter either. But when we saw Johnny Depp come on the MTV Video Music Awards in like as an astronaut, it felt like it diminished the whole movement that supported him, in my opinion. It felt too soon.
Trivialized.
It felt trivial.
Yeah, I think that's what would have happened if Chris Rock had done a commercial making a parody of this, and they would have got a big check for that. But Chris Rock's not really worried about money at this point in his career. What he is in control of is his narrative and his leverage. And right now, doing any commercial would take away his leverage with this next Netflix or HBO special, whichever direction he wants to go, because this is the most anticipated comedy special of all time. And the way Chris Rock structures his jokes, I've listened to his bits hundreds of times. The way he structures things is he's going to take you down a path. It's going to be a little dark. It's going to be a little funny. There'll be side anecdotes. But he gets to now take that narrative, make it his own, and then, more importantly, put it to bed. Because if he makes a commercial and then makes another one in 3 months, it's just this thing, oh, that's the guy that thing happened to. But if he takes this once, does it in front of the world, and puts it to bed, he can move on with his career, and he'll get less questions about, tell us about the slap. He's like, I told you about the slap 2 specials ago.
So true. So Meghan Markle is once again speaking out about her break from the royal family. During her chat with The Cut magazine, Meghan dished on her strained relationship with royal life. While a royal, she revealed she was expected to share pictures of her son Archie with the British media, but refused because of their racist coverage of her. She also thought she could act the part of a princess because of her former profession. Meghan also said while she lost her dad due to quote-unquote toxic tabloid culture, it doesn't have to be the same for Harry and his dad, Prince Charles. She also said she and Harry wanted to have jobs and make their own money, but was told that wasn't something they were allowed to do, even though she said other members of the royal family have jobs like Princess Eugenie and Beatrice. In fact, one of them I know is an art gallery owner. The other one works in finance.
Yeah.
What would you say, Erica? Especially the part about the tabloid being forced to share pictures of your son?
Right. And people want to push back on that. Like, you have already made it very clear that you're racist as you know what. And you want for me to put my child out there so that you can manipulate his image or have anything to have people out there.
Can you imagine the headlines that would be over that?
Yeah, I don't like. It's like don't pour water on my leg and tell me it is raining. You know, like I mean, it's just the fact that people, and did y'all see Twitter? Because it was like a whole trending debacle over the weekend about people trying to come for Meghan Markle because her podcast was #1 in 10 countries. Okay, that's how you switch the narrative and own what it is that you're saying when you cannot be muzzled by anyone. I am so proud of this woman. If you are someone who is sitting in hate and you were upset that trending was #congratulations Meghan, then that's for you. Every time you want to go after people, especially with your hateful heart and hateful ways, energy comes in a lot of form, baby. And if people have a flexible mind, they can take that energy and make that into a comeback every time. So come with your hate, come with your nastiness, because the level of comebackery that some of us have is unprecedented, and Meghan Markle is leading the charge in this very moment.
Well, I mean, and I have to push back on this, and this will not be popular. But when you enter a situation like the monarchy, you have to know that there are going to be expectations of you when you show up in traditions. And one of them is that you probably will not be able to work. I mean, the racism is disgusting, obviously.
Put that aside.
So I wonder, does this fall more on her or more on Harry to tell her what she was walking into? Because she seemed, as I was, shocked at the vitriol that was thrown her way. But should she have been better prepared for that, Tori?
Very quickly, I would say it reminds me a lot of Princess Diana. She also thought, I can come in, I can modernize the monarchy. British people don't necessarily want that. They want traditional. Americans have a very different take on the royals. So at this point, I think they kept trying, and the royals, I think they were surprised at how firm and traditional the monarchy is going to stay.
I think we also very quickly forget that public sentiments were for Harry and Meghan until they got married, and then it became too much for Harry and Meghan.
Yes.
And I don't care what anybody says, that public smear campaign was to put them in their place. So of course anything that they wanted to do, it's like, could she have been prepared for it? I don't know. If you're going to be told that you're going to be punched in the head, do you know what being punched in the head really feels like until it actually happens to you?
But it happened to his mother. It happened to Diana.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you're talking about the idea of there being an evolution, when Diana became princess, were there any black people in the royal family? Like, I mean, there's so much that you're like, there's no way to anticipate the level of vitriol that they received and why and how. There's no way that anybody could have been prepared for that.
Well, speaking of the royal family, tomorrow we will all be looking back at the life of the late Princess Diana on the 25th anniversary of her death. In fact, Stephanie Jones will join us on the panel to talk about how Britain will be remembering the People's Princess. And coming up next on DBL, is it ever okay to expect money from a wealthy friend or family member if you're in trouble? Oh, Al already gave a little anecdote of his opinion. We're talking all about that. Plus, a new study reveals being left out of a social situation is a more common kind of bullying than anything physical.
Closed captioning provided by
DBL is all new every day.
So that's the dilemma. So you can react to her story and then also go into how you guys handle people asking you for money. When is it okay?
And it's her friends, not even her family.
Yes.
Okay. We call this touchy because money is kind of uncomfortable, and we're going to talk about it openly in a public way, and that's not always like the most comfortable for everyone. And we all come from different places, so I wonder what you guys think. Would it ever be okay to expect things? I think Dear Abby's daughter went to my school.
You think?
I don't know, really. I think so, though. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, with the Chris Rock thing, it's like if he doesn't handle this the right way the first time, which he's the only person that can really articulate that, and he's practiced that for his entire life. I mean, this will just be something that will just haunt him. Everything he tries to do, it'll just be the thing that people know him for. It's like, in a weird way, Johnny Depp with the bed situation. You know, it's just like, yes, that was funny, but it's like at a point when you see him as Captain Jack Sparrow, you're like, that's the guy whose bed was whatever.
I hate
destroyed.
that Johnny Depp. You're right, but I hate that Johnny Depp so quickly went on the VMAs and like, hey, I'm back, everybody. It felt so like
it felt desperate.
It felt desperate. It felt like everything that Johnny was standing up for himself felt completely questioned at that point. As far as Chris Rock, I just respect his restraint. From day one, I would want to lash out.
Just imagine that night, not giving an off-camera interview. Like, you imagine, like, after a couple drinks in you, like saying what you wanted to say?
So much restraint. Good on him.
Welcome back. Have you ever helped family or friends financially? Well, a woman is speaking out after some friends recently came into a big amount of money, $100,000, and they haven't offered to lend or give her any of it. This is her story. The woman is disabled, and it's been 10 years since she has been home to visit these friends and family. Every time she tries to save up the $1,000 needed to visit them, an urgent expense comes up, according to her. She's very hurt that the friends have not offered to help her since she was always generous when she had money. So, is it fair for her to expect her friends to help her? Tori, I'm going to start with you because I know how uncomfortable you get just like talking about finances.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tricky, and I like that we're being open about it. My first reaction and instinct is absolutely not. You have no expectation that someone's going to help you. That's your money. That's your take.
Even if you're friends?
Yeah, even if I'm really close with you. And I think when you do meet a partner, whether it's whoever it is, you should talk about money and whether you're a frugal person or a spender and what yours is, because money, sex, and religion should be discussed beforehand. But for me, money is personal and should be not expected at all. I find that a little rude, to be honest.
Eric, is it the expectation that
I think it is the expectation.
As opposed to, like, if they came to you, would you be willing to help, or is it just because this person expects it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the circumstances of how they came to me, but I am a person, like, if someone had a family emergency or something and they couldn't get there, I would pay for that ticket. I wouldn't give them the money, but I would pay for the ticket.
Meaning you would loan the money?
I would actually physically pay for the ticket for them to get to wherever they needed to go. But I am very much like no, don't ask me for money.
You can't. It's the end of the friendship. And I think people forget with money, it's like, yes, the cash is there, but with any relationship, the relationship you have with anybody, there's a power dynamic there. Whether you want to see it or not, there's a power dynamic. And when you add money to anything, now the power dynamic is totally shifted. And even though that $1,000 to get her to come visit you, Sam, you'd be like, oh, my friend, she's going to come, whatever. Now she's like, I bet you Sam wants me to pay her back right now. Look, she's not even looking at me in the kid. Like, it will change everything.
That is the truth. It's always the person who loaned the money from you that turns on you.
And
it's like there's like no good deed goes unpunished. I am very triggered right now. Okay, I'm not even thinking about that $300 until now. But you better call me.
Oh boy,
I feel you, Erica.
Oh boy.
What I don't like is the assumption, assuming that this, woman, family. Let's say a lot of Americans are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. $70,000 in debt with credit cards. Then you add on student loan debt. Then you add on, let's say they have children. Maybe they're saving money to pay off the house, to save up to pay for tuition. You don't know if this $100,000 isn't gone.
It might be gone already.
Thank you.
It might be gone already.
So don't assume that they're like sitting on a pot of gold.
It's
Come
very
on
weird.
now.
It makes it assume. We're just
going to let that pot of gold slide?
Yeah.
All right. I'm talking like a leprechaun.
We'll be right back.
Whether you love it or hate it, pumpkin spice season is here, and people are using the flavoring in all sorts of foods and drinks. But despite its popularity, some people are still confused about what actually goes into the pumpkin spice seasoning in a pumpkin spice latte. This person on Twitter claims there isn't any pumpkin in pumpkin spice. But is that true? Let's verify. We spoke to a spice expert, a licensed dietitian and nutritionist, and spice manufacturer McCormick & Company to get to the bottom of this.
There is no pumpkin in the spice, but it's a blend of different spices that historically were used with pumpkin in pumpkin pies or pumpkin puddings.
The blend usually contains 4 to 5 other spices you probably have in your cabinet: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Spice giant McCormick & Company first introduced a commercial pumpkin pie spice to the US in 1934. The goal was to flavor pumpkin pie all in one container, rather than bakers needing to get each individual spice. So we can verify, no, pumpkin spice does not contain any pumpkin. But despite the lack of pumpkin-y goodness in pumpkin spice, both Frisch and Andrew say it's still possible the latte drink that you order may in fact contain pumpkin these days. And as it turns out, we can verify that the PSL at Starbucks has both pumpkin spice seasoning, which does not contain pumpkin, and real pumpkin. It says so right here on the drink's ingredient list. With your Verify and my very own pumpkin spice latte, I'm Ariane Till. That's not bad.
Welcome back to DBL. Believe it or not, the most common type of bullying isn't with fists, it's actually social exclusion. So according to a new study, socially excluding peers from group activities or spreading harmful rumors is the most common type of bullying in schools. In fact, researchers say being excluded by peers is just as detrimental as getting kicked, punched, or slapped every day. So this study got us thinking, are kids the only ones affected by social exclusion? Has this happened to you? When? How? Tori, on our group thread, you'll always joke around about like your FOMO, which is fear of missing out. If we ever do something and you're not able to make it. Right. Talk to me more about that.
Because it's real.
It's so real. Like, I was going to make a joke about this, and then I just started kind of getting emotional. When cavemen and women were together, they found they would live longer as groups, right? So they would hunt together, and the women would gather and make the fires. So in my lizard brain, it's vitally important.
You've lost Al.
No, I haven't. He gets it.
No, I'm still here.
You're still here.
I'm still here.
It's vitally important that I'm surrounding myself with social people to exist. To me, for someone who's socially an extrovert, it's as if you're gonna die.
Wow.
And it's as if there's a panic, like it's dangerous. And I was bullied not with slaps and punches and all that, but a lot of mean girls, mean guys, social exclusion. And when you feel the slap or the feel of it as you leaves, it physically hurts. It physically makes you want to sort of vomit in a way. And I'm being graphic because I want people to understand what social media could possibly doing to your children, because it is not a little thing. I had to confront 2 bullies. One didn't go very well because my mom made me do it, but it is it's very threatening. It's very threatening.
Do you, and this is just because you suffer from FOMO and I suffer from NOMO, as in I don't want to go NOMO. I'm being honest because it's like I hear you and I'm like definitely feeling, I feel your emotion about it. I question if sometimes you are projecting your desire and your reality onto people who aren't thinking that same way. Because for me, I don't think about, like, if you and Sam were to go to get lunch and I wasn't a part of that, I'd be like, oh, how was lunch? Like I wouldn't be like, crazy. Why wasn't I with you?
What if all of us went to lunch except for you?
That's happened before.
I mean, what if it happened a couple times in a row?
It's happened.
Yeah, me too over here.
Like, it's happened. I don't think it's like, oh, so what? Oh, so y'all were at Vesper? Okay, cool. Like, how did it go? Okay.
You don't really feel
I don't think.
No, I do, and I get it. But Erica's point is the intention, right? Like, if you guys go out on a Friday, you assume I need to get back to my kids. And I do. You're accurate. You're right. But of course, there's always some FOMO. Wow. All right, we got a hard out. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Darlings.
As people wait for more information from the Department of Education on what to do next to claim this loan forgiveness benefit, there's also the question of if the program could get tied up in court. The Biden administration points to something called the HEROES Act as giving them authority for the sweeping student debt cancellation program. So what is it and how is it connected with student loans?
Our sources are the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students, or HEROES Act, the Department of Education, and the Biden administration. The HEROES Act was passed after 9/11. It allows for the forgiveness of student loan requirements during certain periods of hardship in the country, like during a war or national emergency. It became law while U.S. troops were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and lawmakers agreed they should be protected from growing loan burdens. This accompanying legal opinion cites the HEROES Act as justification for the debt cancellation program, which the Biden administration has said is directed at, quote, addressing the financial harms caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Education also stood on the HEROES Act to initially pause student loan collection in 2020 during the Trump administration. However, some say this is too broad an interpretation of the HEROES Act, or even a case of presidential overreach. Members of his own party have even long questioned if this is something the president has the authority to do.
So how would a legal challenge happen? That's actually a big question here. With the way the judicial process works, someone would have to make the case that they've been personally harmed by this to have standing in court to challenge it. But it's something we know Republicans and conservative advocacy groups have already started talking about. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
At some point while searching for information about the DMV or other government services, you've probably ended up on a website like this one that claims to help drivers renew their license or change their address. But it's not a real government website. Instead, people were duped into paying money for what appeared to be government services, but were instead informational websites that sold user data and charged fees for guides that contained publicly available information. The Federal Trade Commission says this site and more than 200 others like it were shams run by a company called On Point Global. Verify viewer Benjamin received this postcard that claims he's entitled to a refund from On Point Global and wants to know if it's true. So Benjamin, let's verify. Is the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam real? Our sources are the FTC and court documents filed in the lawsuit of FTC, the On Point Global, and its subsidiaries. In 2021, the FTC won a lawsuit against On Point Global, ordering the company to shut down their sites and pay out $85 million to its victims. People who were affected were sent postcards and emails with instructions on how to file a claim. So, yes, the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam is real. Victims must make a claim by September 7th using the link on the FTC's website. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
You're out of time, but great conversations today, and you opening up about that.
Yeah, I hope I don't sound crazy, but that's how I really feel.
No, that's real. Thank you for your honesty.
Totally.
DBL's new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Where hope finds help. Where courage meets conviction. Where makers make fans. We are Tegna, a family of local and national media brands that bring us together, serving the greater good of our communities. Where national know-how backs local business. Be in good company with Tegna.
Am I going crazy?
I just love your passion right now.
I'll take it.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, let me get on it. You just got me all riled up.
So rude.
raised you.
This is a win, right, guys? Why am I right all the time?
I live my life for spite. Welcome to another week of Jeff's Mustache.
I didn't expect that. I love this segment.
Yes.
You just made my day, my week, my month, my year. DBL is all new every day.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
A new poll says America is more divided than ever, but could we really be headed for a civil war? The teacher who made headlines for giving kids access to banned books is here live. What does she have to say to the people who want her facing criminal charges? Setting the record straight on student loan forgiveness. We've got the facts to debunk the misinformation that's spreading online. And a star-studded U.S. Open send-off for Serena Williams.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Finally here. Drum roll.
Oh, are you going to turn that into a laugh?
No.
Oh, Al was just criticizing me, and then right when the camera turned on, he turned it into
The
a
mask
giggle.
comes on.
He gaslit you.
We see right
every morning.
Yeah, we see right through it. Okay. We have to talk about this. I know that our viewers feel this way. Many of us do, so let's unpack it. Whenever you turn on the news, it does seem like that there's story after story showing just how divided America is right now. Like in Texas, there was a drag brunch for kids over the weekend. However, armed groups from both sides showed up and faced off with each other. There's also all this uproar over Hunter Biden's laptop, and now GOP senators are demanding answers over the FBI possibly burying the story. Even former President Trump is now demanding he be declared the winner of the 2020 election over the whole thing. So how divided are we really? Well, a recent poll showed that more than 40% of Americans think that a civil war is likely in the next decade. So DBL Nation, I'm reading your comments, but we want to continue to hear from you. Are we headed, in your opinion, in that direction? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. Al?
I keep thinking back to January 6th. We had a bunch of armed extremists right at the Capitol steps. They had headsets, Erica. They had a battle plan. They were going underground. They had a plan to bring guns over, it was at the Delaware. And no one did anything. No one did anything. And I wonder why. And I think it's because at everybody's core, no matter how much rhetoric you use, no matter if you actually show up at the event, no matter if you yell or show up with a bat, nobody really wants that civil war smoke. Because if we're in a civil war and you do something to me, that's going to affect your family as well, because now your family's in a civil war. Nobody wants to live like that. They keep trying to tell us that we're divided, but we are not divided on legalizing marijuana. A lot of states have already done it. It's very popular. We were not divided on abortion. It was a very popular pro-choice referendum in this country. And we haven't been divided on a number of gay marriage. Assault weapons. All these things are things that people are for. The reason that they are being held up and not changed is because of what's going on in our government. I don't think that people really want a civil war, but I think it's great to talk about it and pontificate about it. But what would that even look like in 2022?
I disagree. I think that there is a contingency of people out there who absolutely want a civil war. They want the unrest. They want the chaos. They want to overthrow the government. And why? Because they are so disenfranchised, either in their heads or they're disenfranchised in the reality of the situation. And anything in order to upset the balance will work in their favor. Like, you're talking about it from a standpoint of someone who, you are living your life in a way that it makes sense that you want to have some degree of harmony and civility. But there are people out there who are living a reality, whether it's a true reality or the one they've made up in their head, that anything is better than what is happening now. And these, quote, outliers, who I don't even feel are truly outliers. These are people who, in the moment that if there was a separation, let's say it's an aesthetic one, let's just use black and white because this is America. They're able to turn to look like whatever they need to look like in order to be on the winning side of whatever is happening. So I do think that there is a fear that should be at least thought about and explored in all of our hearts and minds, because there are a lot of people out there who do not love the way that their lives in this country are going, and they will do anything to upset that balance.
I wonder, though, if you were to ask, and I agree with you, but let's look back to like 1968, right? Let's look back to 1975, 1984, like even when was same-sex marriage passed? 2008?
Yeah, during Obama. Yeah.
So, and if I got that wrong, please somebody correct me. Would your grandmother say that times are better now than they were before? What would you say to that?
I don't know what my grandmother would say, to
what
be
do
honest.
You feel? Do you feel that we've made some progress?
I think there's always progress. But I also think that there's always a certain amount of regression. And I say that because anytime there's progress made, there's always going to be but what about? But look at. And then we stop looking at, it's like, is the glass half full or the glass half empty?
Right.
So I think that we are, in some ways, progressing, but in a lot of ways, we are regressing.
Yeah, I think both of you are right, which is an annoying thing to say. But if you do bring back 1968, presidents were shot. Like RFK, would-be presidents were shot. MLK, leaders were shot, assassinated. The Chicago riots, the Democratic Convention, that's 1 year. We've had really bad times in America before. There was actually a whole war where we fought against one another. I don't think things are there at all. I think the media has brought this up and made it very polarizing. However, and I say this with respect, usually something comes along and is a catalyst for something once a generation. I believe Trump represents or gives permission for people to really speak out to their neighbors and say, I don't like where you're from, go back to blank. That's shifted to where now neighbor versus neighbor is like in maybe a possible war.
I don't know. Okay, and Al, please jump in. Like, I agree with the both of you that we feel very divided. However, I see that on my Facebook account. I see that on Twitter. When I'm out and about grabbing a coffee, and I get it, I'm white, I get my privilege, but still, when I'm out and about getting to know my neighbors, whether or not we have different or same political beliefs, there is a commonality of respect and family and community, as opposed to what I see on Facebook. I think we see a different person behind a keyboard than we see if you were my next door neighbor.
Absolutely.
You see people all the time.
But what if you see that person on a red MAGA hat?
But
that changes things.
I don't know if that does.
For me, it does.
I think that there have been extremists. I don't think there's any more or less of anything ever in the history of time. I think that extremists have been highlighted. The domestic terrorist group was dismantled when Trump came in. So now we have more white nationalists that are getting prominent FaceTime on national news. But when I'm out and about, when I talk to people after shows, I talk to thousands of people a year. I don't see this. I know I'm talking to them in a certain situation, but that's the only situation we'll ever interact with.
I don't agree at all, and I think that it's a privilege to not see it or not have to see it.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
No, I'm telling you now. I have so insulated and isolated myself because I just truly, it's not even that it affects me on a personal level, it's that I choose joy and softness in this moment in my life. But I, at least once a week, get approached by someone who says something to either, they basically want to have DBL at the grocery store, and they want to come to me to give me their side of the coin because they may have heard me say something when I'm at work. I'm off the clock. okay? I'm not interested in having this conversation with you in the real world. I have been at private events and had people come up and say something to get me to respond in a certain way. I have been called names and had things like under my breath. And we live in Denver, and not to say that Denver's okay. I mean, hello, Elijah McClain. But I'm telling you right now, especially in other places in the country, there are people who this is a daily occurrence for, and they have to deal with this every day.
Yeah, that's real. No, it is. That's real. Let's look at our viewers. They say 54% of you say yes. Wow, America is headed for another civil war. That's our viewers for you. And also 2015 was the legalization of same-sex marriage.
Excellent.
2015, that was not that long ago. Coming up on DBL, a fact check of President Biden's student loan forgiveness. Will taxpayers really be on the hook for this? And the teacher who made headlines for giving her students access to banned books is here live. She's giving her side of the story next.
Closed captioning provided by
Posh.
Am I going crazy?
Who raised you?
Why am I right all the time?
You're not.
Welcome to another week of Jeff's Mustache.
You just made my day, my week, my month, my year.
I also think it's just lighting.
So honestly, we're going to continue the conversation about civil wars, and just like to further my point, like I
much paler
don't
and yellower.
for one second think that there's not a group of people that want to escalate things. We've seen those people constantly. We see them at drag brunches now.
A little bit and not as
What
yellow.
I don't see is people being able to mobilize and convince other people that their lives should change forever, where now it is dangerous to go to the grocery store, even though it is. But you know what I'm saying, where people are shooting at people you love, and you're shooting at people that other people love. When you start that, when you go down that road, when you start shooting at people's kids, it's going to be a different story. And that's what I'm saying. That next level, I don't know what it would take to get there, but I don't.
Don't you see? You already see that in certain places.
I think people are ultimately selfish, and they don't want that for their lives.
I think I'm already seeing it in pockets.
There's always pockets of extremists.
Came over here to say.
Always.
Agreed, but I think extremist is you're making it more fringe than it is. I think they were this close to taking over our diplomacy.
I think that there were some factors in place in the fact that we didn't have any Capitol Police there. I think there were some issues there that were on the inside.
Erica,
but I think for the most part,
saying,
people
don't come for Erica when she's off the clock.
You know, I was thinking about that.
Somebody says right here, she said she's off the clock. Don't bother our Erica, please. Let her shop in peace.
If someone could pin, it'd be helpful.
Yes, please don't come for me off the clock.
I know, but can you tell? Can we get one more pin? Yeah. Okay. I just think I can get right.
30 seconds.
We'll do it later.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter answers your questions, clarifies what's true and false, and even includes a daily fun fact. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. Reading is essential when it comes to education, and the conversation around censorship is a big topic as kids go back to school. Today, we're talking to a teacher accused of sharing inappropriate material with teens. Former high school English teacher Summer Boamia joins us. Joins us to share her side of the story. Summer, thank you so much for taking the time to share your side of the story on DBL.
I just want to get straight to it. A huge round of applause for me. I'm an enormous fan of yours, and I think as a whistleblower, you will be remembered very, very well in history. Talk to us why educators like yourself are worried that the rights of students are being taken away. Talk to us.
So currently in Oklahoma, there is legislation on the books known as HB 1775, colloquially as the anti-CRT law. Teachers are concerned that this is a violation of students' rights because what it has done in the past year, as it's been on the books, is it has allowed a small group of people to dictate which identities, perspectives, and conversations are allowed in our classrooms.
Now, Summer, this is a reach for me personally, but I do have to ask you this question because apparently you're being accused of providing students with access to pornographic material. What is that all about?
So the accusations around pornographic material stem from a few places, namely what I did in my classroom and why I'm here with you right now is I provided students a QR code since I could not have books on my shelves. This QR code links students to an e-card registration page for the Brooklyn Public Library. And so students 13 to 21 across the United States have free e-access thanks to the Brooklyn Library. This is a place where my students, if they were to choose to do that, could access any number of books, some of which have been censored and are in the process of being banned from Oklahoma classrooms and libraries.
Well, we appreciate you being on the show, and I will say that you're here on the show because you are a thought leader, and you, like our co-host Tori said, you are going to be remembered well in history. As a former educator, I taught middle school for 5 years. I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing so much, and I appreciate the risk you're taking because you had to know that this was going to ruffle some feathers with some parents who want you to face criminal charges. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So the conversation around those criminal charges, I think, stems from a particular book that is available on the Brooklyn Library's website, and that book is Gender Queer. So it is a memoir about, coming to terms and experiencing and going through, those gender identity issues and questions that I think a lot of adolescents face. In my opinion, this is a vital text, and it's a vital text for a number of my students who are experiencing similar things to see their perspectives centered and validated in our society.
Wow. So many questions. One, are you going to continue to teach, and do you regret sharing banned books with students?
I'll answer the second one first, actually. The short answer to that is no. I think, in this day and age, every teacher, every educator, especially ELA teachers and social studies teachers, have to choose the hills that they're going to die on. This has been one of mine from the very beginning. I firmly believe that I can't do what I have been trained to do and what I believe is right without, standing for that principle against censorship. So no, I don't regret doing what I did. I would do it again 1,000 times if I had to. As far as what's next for me, I just want to let folks out there know that, I'm not going anywhere. I may not be in a classroom right now, but as far as Oklahoma education goes, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to be present, and I hope to be present in the national conversation as well. Students deserve to see their lives validated.
I'm feeling a book here, and I feel like this should be your first stop.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Activists. You are already part of the national conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Summer. We appreciate you being here to share your story. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thanks, Summer.
Yeah, thank you.
Whether you love it or hate it, pumpkin spice season is here, and people are using the flavoring in all sorts of foods and drinks. But despite its popularity, some people are still confused about what actually goes into the pumpkin spice seasoning in a pumpkin spice latte. This person on Twitter claims there isn't any pumpkin in pumpkin spice. But is that true? Let's verify. We spoke to a spice expert, a licensed dietitian and nutritionist, and spice manufacturer McCormick & Company to get to the bottom of this.
There is no pumpkin in the spice, but it's a blend of different spices that historically were used with pumpkin in pumpkin pies or pumpkin puddings.
The blend usually contains 4 to 5 other spices you probably have in your cabinet: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Spice giant McCormick & Company first introduced a commercial pumpkin pie spice to the US in 1934. The goal was to flavor pumpkin pie all in one container, rather than bakers needing to get each individual spice. So we can verify, no, pumpkin spice does not contain any pumpkin. But despite the lack of pumpkin-y goodness in pumpkin spice, both Frisch and Andrew say it's still possible the latte drink that you order may in fact contain pumpkin these days. And as it turns out, we can verify that the PSL at Starbucks has both pumpkin spice seasoning, which does not contain pumpkin, and real pumpkin. It says so right here on the drink's ingredient list. With your Verify and my very own pumpkin spice latte, I'm Ariane Till. That's not bad.
Welcome back. Ever since the president announced he's forgiving between $10,000 and $20,000 in student loan debt for millions of Americans, well, there's been a ton of questions. So to help us get this, the facts on this, we are joined by the national host of TEGNA's very own Verify. They're a team of fact checkers that help sort through all the misinformation. Please welcome Ariane Till. There you are.
Hey, Ariane.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be back. Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you again, too. So let's start with this question. There have been reports that individual taxpayers will be on the hook for this debt relief. So, I guess it's to the tune of $2,000. That's the word on the street. So is this true? And do we know how all of this debt relief is getting paid for?
Yeah, that is certainly the word on the street. We've received so many questions about that topic too, and some of them stem from this post on Ted Cruz's website, where he claims that the average taxpayer would be on the hook for about $2,000 in extra taxes this year in order to pay for that relief plan. But guys, this is not true. Verify traced that $2,000 estimate back to a blog post from the National Taxpayers Union Foundation. It's this nonpartisan research and educational organization that shows Americans how taxes, government spending, and regulations affect them. But they are just estimates. Take a look at this one. It is the blog post that they posted, and you can see that $2,000 estimated cost per taxpayer right there in the headline. And they got that estimate by dividing the cost of the program, the big old number, by the number of taxpayers. But that is not how government spending works, and it's not how income taxes work. The money that you pay in income taxes, it is a percentage of what you make. So for taxes to be raised specifically to pay the debt for this forgiveness package, Congress would have to pass a bill changing our entire federal tax collection laws. And that hasn't happened, nor has it been proposed.
I love her, and I love that background, very minimal. All right, for those that are eligible, will you automatically receive the student loan forgiveness? Do you need to apply for it? Does it just happen?
Yeah, so for the 43 million Americans that could get their loans forgiven under this plan, only 8 million of those people don't have to lift a single finger in order to get their loans forgiven. And that is because the Department of Education already has their income data. But like I said, there are millions of others that do need to update that income data with the Department of Education. And as a result, they're going to have to fill out an application for the relief. And that is where the natural question is, so where can you fill out that application? Well, the form isn't available yet.
Oh, wow.
Much like the government, it's a little bit slow. So the Department of Education and the White House, they said that it will be available before December 31st, 2022, which is when the current pause on paying back your student loans ends and when you have to pay up that money. Now, if anyone would like to be notified about when that application is open, all you have to do is sign up with your email address on the Department of Education's website. Just make sure to click that little box that says Federal Student Loan Borrowers Updates.
Wow. All right. Well, I have another question for you. You are so knowledgeable. What about parents who are going to be like me that took out federal loans to pay for their kids' college? Are they eligible for student loan forgiveness?
Great question.
Yeah, the answer here is yes, with a caveat. 3 things have to be true. 1, the parent took out a Parent Plus loan or a Direct Plus loan for their child's education. 2, those loans are held by the Department of Education. And 3, you meet the income requirements. Now, to check if your loan is actually held by the Department of Education, all you have to do is sign in to studentaid.gov and check your account, or you can check with your loan servicer. But guys, at the heart of this question, I think that people are really wondering if parents and students that took out loans for that child's education can both receive relief under the plan. And the answer is yes, if they meet that income eligibility.
God, good to know. In fact, our viewer Barbara Spindler just wrote in, this is so important to know this factual, she put in all caps, factual information. Ariane, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today on DBL. DBL Nation, if you see something you want the Verify team to look into, shoot them an email or a text or visit their website at verifythis.com. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
As people wait for more information from the Department of Education on what to do next to claim this loan forgiveness benefit, there's also the question of if the program could get tied up in court. The Biden administration points to something called the HEROES Act as giving them authority for the sweeping student debt cancellation program. So what is it and how is it connected with student loans? Our sources are the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students, or HEROES Act, the Department of Education, and the Biden administration. The HEROES Act was passed after 9/11. It allows for the forgiveness of student loan requirements during certain periods of hardship in the country, like during a war or national emergency. It became law while U.S. troops were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and lawmakers agreed they should be protected from growing loan burdens. This accompanying legal opinion cites the HEROES Act as justification for the debt cancellation program, which the Biden administration has said is directed at, quote, addressing the financial harms caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Education also stood on the HEROES Act to initially pause student loan collection in 2020 during the Trump administration. However, some say this is too broad an interpretation of the HEROES Act, or even a case of presidential overreach. Members of his own party have even long questioned if this is something the president has the authority to do. So how would a legal challenge happen? That's actually a big question here. With the way the judicial process works, someone would have to make the case that they've been personally harmed by this to have standing in court to challenge it. But it's something we know Republicans and conservative advocacy groups have already started talking about. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
At some point while searching for information about the DMV or other government services, you've probably ended up on a website like this one that claims to help drivers renew their license or change their address. But it's not a real government website. Instead, people were duped into paying money for what appeared to be government services, but were instead informational websites that sold user data and charged fees for guides that contained publicly available information. The Federal Trade Commission says this site and more than 200 others like it were shams run by a company called On Point Global. Verify viewer Benjamin received this postcard that claims he's entitled to a refund from On Point Global and wants to know if it's true. So Benjamin, let's verify. Is the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam real? Our sources are the FTC and court documents filed in the lawsuit of FTC v. On Point Global and its subsidiaries. In 2021, the FTC won a lawsuit against On Point Global, ordering the company to shut down their sites and pay out $85 million to its victims. People who were affected were sent postcards and emails with instructions on how to file a claim. So, yes, the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam is real. Victims must make a claim by September 7th using the link on the FTC's website. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Okay, in regard to student loan forgiveness, Cheryl says so appreciative of people that know the facts.
Yeah.
Thank
that was
you,
a shot at us.
Student loans and civil war. Donnie, both of these first two topics that DBL brought up, we as a group need to talk to our friends, families, coworkers, anyone, and give them the factual information. Exactly. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show online. Watch on YouTube, dailyblastlive.com, or our mobile app. But if you get the second half of the show where you are, here is what's ahead. Chris Rock got an offer he apparently could refuse. The major deals he turned down after the Oscar slap, plus a star-studded event for Serena Williams' U.S. Open send-off. We'll show you the major celebs who were there to cheer her on.
You may have seen this meme circulating on social media that claims Florida banned this list of books from schools. It includes classics like To Kill a Mockingbird and The Catcher in the Rye. The list was shared by actor Mark Hamill, whose post received more than 160,000 likes. Verify viewers Lisa and Larry texted us to ask if this list is real. So let's verify. Our sources are Florida's Student Development Standards, Florida House Bill 1467, and Brian Griffin, press secretary for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Griffin tells Verify neither the governor nor the state education department has the power to ban books in schools statewide. The decision of whether a book is appropriate for classrooms and school libraries is up to individual school districts. The new bill, HB 1467, also gives parents the chance to weigh in on whether they think a book is appropriate for their local district. So while there are books that are banned in some Florida school districts, the viral meme is not real. There is no state list of banned books. In fact, several of the books on the list, like Of Mice and Men and 1984, are included on the state's list of recommended books. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
A new school year means one thing, the return of those early alarm clocks. Let's connect the dots. Sleep experts say now is the time to start getting your kids used to waking up early. That's because younger kids usually need 10 to 11 hours of sleep each night to have the best performance in school. Teens need about 9 hours. Experts recommend you gradually adjust wake-up times over the next few days, moving up 15 to 30 minutes earlier every other day. This is also a good time to start what experts call good sleep hygiene habits. That means turning off electronics 30 minutes before bed. And that is connecting the dots.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Oh, I've been looking forward to talking about this story. Okay, it was a star-studded and a family affair. Serena Williams played her final match. Can you guys believe it? In her final U.S. Open tournament. Serena won the match in straight sets yesterday. Her family was there to cheer her on. This makes me emotional. Watch this, including her daughter Olympia, who twinned with her mom. Olympia also, you may have noticed, wore similar braids in her hair. We put that on our DBL Instagram today. You got to go see that. That Serena, of course, wore when she won her first U.S. Open back in 1999. I could just stare at that photo. Stars were also packing the stands to see her play, like Hugh Jackman and his wife, along with Lindsey Vonn and Anthony Anderson. Vogue editor, of course she was there. Look at her with her sunglasses. Anna Wintour was spotted sitting in style. And check this out. It looked like, Bill Clinton might have been getting some advice from Dr. Ruth, huh? But there was also a case of mistaken identity in the stands involving actress Laverne Cox. Laverne reposted a tweet that identified her as the one and only Beyonce. Clearly flattered, she captioned the post, "Not me getting mistaken for Beyonce." Yes.
Biggest flex of your life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Erica, how would you say Serena changed the game of tennis? And then I also want to hear what your initial reaction was seeing that picture of Olympia in the braids from 1999.
You know, I think, Lord, when I've always said this, but when Serena and Venus came into the national stage, I mean, that was such a game changer for young girls like me in braids and beads, right. To really feel like we had access and the ability to break ceilings. But I also look at young Olympia and look at the picture, of Venus and Serena from back, early on, and my heart, it's like the fact that Serena is considered the GOAT is something that is so deserved, because what those little girls had to go through from grown butt people and media and the scrutiny and speculation in order for them to get to where they are. Like, when we talk about breaking boundaries and ensuring that the generation behind us don't have it as hard, or making sure that they don't have to necessarily go through what we had to go through. I look at her daughter and I'm like, man, does she look at her every day and just think this was all for you?
Wow.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. I saw, just really quick, the New York Times had
brought your newspaper with your 10 marks all over it.
First impressions of a future champion. So it was what famous tennis people felt when they first saw Serena and Venus. Rick Macy is the famous coach that first saw them. Remember in the documentary, the King Richard.
Yeah,
he says this. They ran so fast they almost fell down, and I went right up
to Rich and I said, you've got the next female Michael Jordan, referring to Venus, because she was older and better then. And Richard said, no, I got the next two. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, if you watch King Richard, you see Serena kind of in the shadows of Venus until she, you know, got older. But the whole time, I mean, she was just sitting on a pot of gold. But,
both of them, yeah.
I mean, it's weird to say I look at this and I think of myself, but in a weird way, I see her kind of at this crossroads. She is a young daughter now, and for her entire life since she was able to stand, she's been playing tennis and dominating it in a way that, you know, no one ever has and probably no one ever will. And I didn't do that with comedy, but I did love comedy as a kid. I listened to records, I listened to tapes, I listened to old Carlin CDs before I ended up doing stand-up. And then when I had my kids, I was having this weird thing where I like didn't want to. I used to love to jump on the plane. Like, I have a hotel. They paid for my hotel. I was like young and excited. Like they're giving me money to do stand-up, you know. and like, you know, as you grow and start to do TV, you're like, I think I'm a professional comic. And then you have kids, and now you don't want to get on that plane, and you don't want to check into that hotel. And I was having this internal battle that I think that all athletes have. Dwayne Wade, when he retired, got a sports psychologist to help with that transition. And I think a lot of people, whether you play sports, whatever your job is, you're going to have a moment where something is more important than that. And probably, I know I was not ready to deal with that without professional help. So I definitely recognize her incredible career. And she's got a more important career, which is being a mama and a CEO, philanthropist, mogul.
Yep,
so, yes,
exactly.
This will not be the last time we hear from her.
Yep, well said, Al. So Chris Rock reportedly addressed the slap once again during a comedy show. While on stage in Arizona, Chris said he was asked to host the Oscars next year. But he said that would be like Nicole Brown Simpson returning to the restaurant. A reference to her murder, which happened after leaving an Italian restaurant. Chris also revealed he was asked to do a Super Bowl commercial after being slapped on stage, but also refused that offer. Do you think it was out of line for the Oscars to ask Chris to come back and host? What would you say, Erica?
Out of line? No, that's par for the course.
Why do you think he refused it?
Because he has dignity? I mean, like, it just seems like at this point, like, of course the Oscars is going to ask, and of course some brand is going to want him to really, to me, it's like play like some minstrel character on, like, you know, like, of course they want that because they want that recognition. They want those eyeballs. They want the notoriety on the back of his story. This is a situation where this man was the victim of someone else's assault. It was an assault in front of everybody. And now other entities really think that they're going to capitalize on his misfortune. He needs to make those lemons into lemonade on his own terms, in his own words, the way that he feels it's appropriate to do so.
On stage, on his own terms, to Erica's point. He's doing it.
If you do it, like we said, like a Dorito commercial, it lessens the whole thing. Really, it really makes it commercial. It makes it not his. It's not his narration. It's now a joke. And although he will make it a joke, Chris Rock, he will make it a much more interesting, nuanced joke than a Doritos Cool Ranch, right? So bravo for him to saying, this is my story, I'll tell it.
That's what I wish Johnny Depp did. Not to compare the two, but Johnny Depp, listen, a lot of people would call Johnny Depp the victim. We all know that his hands were not clean in the matter either. But when we saw Johnny Depp come on the MTV Video Music Awards in like as an astronaut, it felt like it diminished the whole movement that supported him, in my opinion. It felt too soon.
Trivialized.
It felt trivial.
Yeah, I think that's what would have happened if Chris Rock had done a commercial making a parody of this, and they would have got a big check for that. But Chris Rock's not really worried about money at this point in his career. What he is in control of is his narrative and his leverage. And right now, doing any commercial would take away his leverage with this next Netflix or HBO special, whichever direction he wants to go, because this is the most anticipated comedy special of all time. And the way Chris Rock structures his jokes, I've listened to his bits hundreds of times. The way he structures things is he's going to take you down a path. It's going to be a little dark. It's going to be a little funny. There'll be side anecdotes. But he gets to now take that narrative, make it his own, and then, more importantly, put it to bed. Because if he makes a commercial and then makes another one in 3 months, it's just this thing, oh, that's the guy that thing happened to. But if he takes this once, does it in front of the world and puts it to bed, he can move on with his career and he'll get less questions about, tell us about the slap. He's like, I told you about the slap 2 specials ago.
So true. So Meghan Markle is once again speaking out about her break from the royal family. During her chat with The Cut magazine, Meghan dished on her strained relationship with royal life. While a royal, she revealed she was expected to share pictures of her son Archie with the British media, but refused because of their racist coverage of her. She also thought she could act the part of a princess because of her former profession. Meghan also said while she lost her dad due to quote-unquote toxic tabloid culture, it doesn't have to be the same for Harry and his dad, Prince Charles. She also said she and Harry wanted to have jobs and make their own money, but was told that wasn't something they were allowed to do, even though she said other members of the royal family have jobs like Princess Eugenie and Beatrice. In fact, one of them I know is an art gallery owner. The other one works in finance.
Yeah.
What would you say, Erica? Especially the part about the tabloid being forced to share pictures of your son?
Right. And people want to push back on that. Like, you have already made it very clear that you're racist as you know what. And you want for me to put my child out there so that you can manipulate his image or have anything to have people out there
Can you imagine the headlines that would be over that?
Yeah. I don't like. It's like don't pour water on my leg and tell me it is raining. You know, I mean, it's just the fact that people, and did y'all see Twitter? Because it was like a whole trending debacle over the weekend about people trying to come for Meghan Markle because her podcast was #1 in 10 countries. Okay, that's how you switch the narrative and own what it is that you're saying when you cannot be muzzled by anyone. I am so proud of this woman. If you are someone who is sitting in hate and you were upset that trending was #congratulations Meghan, then that's for you. Every time you want to go after people, especially with your hateful heart and hateful ways, energy comes in a lot of form, baby. And if people have a flexible mind, they can take that energy and make that into a comeback every time. So come with your hate, come with your nastiness, because the level of comebackery that some of us have is unprecedented, and Meghan Markle is leading the charge in this very moment.
Well, I mean, and I have to push back on this, and this will not be popular. But when you enter a situation like the monarchy, you have to know that there are going to be expectations of you when you show up in traditions. And one of them is that you probably will not be able to work. I mean, the racism is disgusting, obviously.
Put that aside.
So I wonder, does this fall more on her or more on Harry to tell her what she was walking into? Because she seemed, as I was, shocked at the vitriol that was thrown her way. But should she have been better prepared for that, Tori?
Very quickly, I would say it reminds me a lot of Princess Diana. She also thought, I can come in, I can modernize the monarchy. British people don't necessarily want that. They want traditional. Americans have a very different take on the royals. So at this point, I think they kept trying, and the royals, I think they were surprised at how firm and traditional the monarchy is going to stay.
I think we also very quickly forget that public sentiments were for Harry and Meghan until they got married, and then it became too much for Harry and Meghan.
Yes.
And I don't care what anybody says. That public smear campaign was to put them in their place. So of course anything that they wanted to do, it's like, could she have been prepared for it? I don't know. If you're going to be told that you're going to be punched in the head, do you know what being punched in the head really feels like until it actually happens to you?
But it happened to his mother. It happened to Diana.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you're talking about the idea of there being an evolution, when Diana became princess, were there any black people in the royal family? Like, I mean, there's so much that you're like, there's no way to anticipate the level of vitriol that they received and why and how. There's no way that anybody could have been prepared for that.
Well, speaking of the royal family, tomorrow we will all be looking back at the life of the late Princess Diana on the 25th anniversary of her death. In fact, Stephanie Jones will join us on the panel to talk about how Britain will be remembering the People's Princess. And coming up next on DBL, is it ever okay to expect money from a wealthy friend or family member if you're in trouble. Oh, Al already gave a little anecdote of his opinion. We're talking all about that. Plus, a new study reveals being left out of a social situation is a more common kind of bullying than anything physical.
Closed captioning provided by
DBL is all new every day.
To make a trip to visit them and her family. So that's the dilemma. So you can react to her story and then also go into how you guys handle people asking you for money. When is it okay?
And it's her friends, not even her family.
Yes.
Okay. We call this touchy because money is kind of uncomfortable, and we're going to talk about it openly in a public way, and that's not always like the most comfortable for everyone. And we all come from different places, so I wonder what you guys think. Would it ever be okay to expect things? I think Dear Abby's daughter went to my school.
You think?
I don't know, really. I think so, though. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, with the Chris Rock thing, it's like if he doesn't handle this the right way the first time, which he's the only person that can really articulate that, and he's practiced that for his entire life. I mean, this will just be something that will just haunt him. Everything he tries to do, it'll just be the thing that people know him for. It's like, in a weird way, Johnny Depp with the bed situation. You know, it's just like, yes, that was funny, but it's like they're at a point when you see him as Captain Jack Sparrow, you're like, that's the guy whose bed was whatever.
I hate
destroyed.
that Johnny Depp. You're right, but I hate that Johnny Depp so quickly went on the VMAs and like, hey, I'm back, everybody. It felt so like
it felt desperate to me.
It felt desperate. It felt like everything that Johnny was standing up for himself felt completely questioned at that point. As far as Chris Rock, I just respect his restraint. From day one, I would want to lash out.
Just imagine that night, not giving an off-camera interview. Like, you imagine, like, after a couple drinks in you, like, saying what you wanted to say?
So much restraint. Good on him.
Welcome back. Have you ever helped family or friends financially? Well, a woman is speaking out after some friends recently came into a big amount of money, $100,000, and they haven't offered to lend or give her any of it. This is her story. The woman is disabled, and it's been 10 years since she has been home to visit these friends and family. Every time she tries to save up the $1,000 needed to visit them, an urgent expense comes up, according to her. She's very hurt that the friends have not offered to help her since she was always generous when she had money. So, is it fair for her to expect her friends to help her? Tori, I'm going to start with you because I know how uncomfortable you get just like talking about finances.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tricky, and I like that we're being open about it. My first reaction and instinct is absolutely not. You have no expectation that someone's going to help you. That's your money. That's your take.
Even if you're friends?
Yeah, even if I'm really close with you. And I think when you do meet a partner, whether it's whoever it is, you should talk about money and whether you're a frugal person or a spender and what yours is, because money, sex, and religion should be discussed beforehand. But for me, money is personal and should be not expected at all. I find that a little rude, to be honest.
Eric, is it the expectation that
I think it is the expectation.
As opposed to, like, if they came to you, would you be willing to help, or is it just because this person expects it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the circumstances of how they came to me, but I am a person, like, if someone had a family emergency or something and they couldn't get there, I would pay for that ticket. I wouldn't give them the money, but I would pay for the ticket.
Meaning you would loan the money?
I would actually physically pay for the ticket for them to get to wherever they needed to go. But I am very much like no, don't ask me for money.
You can't. It's the end of the friendship. And I think people forget with money, it's like, yes, the cash is there, but with any relationship, the relationship you have with anybody, there's a power dynamic there. Whether you want to see it or not, there's a power dynamic. And when you add money to anything, now the power dynamic is totally shifted. And even though that $1,000 to get her to come visit you, Sam, you'd be like, oh, my friend, she's going to come, whatever. Now she's like, I bet you Sam wants me to pay her back right now. Look, she's not even looking at me in the kid. Like it will change everything.
That is the truth. It's always the person who loaned the money from you that turns on you. It's like a there's like no good deed goes unpunished. I am very triggered right now. Okay,
I've been there.
I'm not even thinking about that $300 until now. But you better call me.
Oh boy.
I feel you, Erica.
Oh boy.
What I don't like is the assumption, assuming that this, woman, family, let's say a lot of Americans are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000 in debt with credit cards. Then you add on student loan debt. Then you add on, let's say they have children. Maybe they're saving money to pay off the house, to save up to pay for tuition. You don't know if this $100,000 isn't gone.
It might be gone already.
Thank you.
It might be gone already.
So don't assume that they're like sitting on a pot of gold.
Come on, weird. It makes it assume it's.
We're just gonna let that pot of gold slide.
Yeah.
All right. I'm talking like a leprechaun.
We'll be right back.
Whether you love it or hate it, pumpkin spice season is here, and people are using the flavoring in all sorts of foods and drinks. But despite its popularity, some people are still confused about what actually goes into the pumpkin spice seasoning in a pumpkin spice latte. This person on Twitter claims there isn't any pumpkin in pumpkin spice. But is that true? Let's verify. We spoke to a spice expert, a licensed dietitian and nutritionist, and spice manufacturer McCormick & Company to get to the bottom of this.
There is no pumpkin in the spice, but it's a blend of different spices that historically were used with pumpkin in pumpkin pies or pumpkin puddings.
The blend usually contains 4 to 5 other spices you probably have in your cabinet: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Spice giant McCormick & Company first introduced a commercial pumpkin pie spice to the US in 1934. The goal was to flavor pumpkin pie all in one container, rather than bakers needing to get each individual spice. So we can verify, no, pumpkin spice does not contain any pumpkin. But despite the lack of pumpkin-y goodness in pumpkin spice, both Frisch and Andrew say it's still possible the latte drink that you order may in fact contain pumpkin these days. And as it turns out, we can verify that the PSL at Starbucks has both pumpkin spice seasoning, which does not contain pumpkin, and real pumpkin. It says so right here on the drink's ingredient list. With your Verify and my very own pumpkin spice latte, I'm Ariane Till. That's not bad.
Welcome back to DBL. Believe it or not, the most common type of bullying isn't with fists. It's actually social exclusion. So according to a new study, socially excluding peers from group activities or spreading harmful rumors is the most common type of bullying in schools. In fact, researchers say being excluded by peers is just as detrimental as getting kicked, punched, or slapped every day. So this study got us thinking, are kids the only ones affected by social exclusion? Has this happened to you? When? How? Tori, on our group thread, you'll always joke around about like your FOMO, which is fear of missing out. If we ever do something and you're not able to make it. Right. Talk to me more about that.
Because it's real.
It's so real. Like, I was going to make a joke about this, and then I just started kind of getting emotional. When cavemen and women were together, they found they would live longer as groups, right? So they would hunt together, and the women would gather and make the fires. So in my lizard brain, it's vitally important that
You've lost Al.
No, I haven't. He gets it.
No, I'm still here.
You're still here.
I'm still here.
It's vitally important that I'm surrounding myself with social people to exist. To me, for someone who's socially an extrovert, it's as if you're gonna die.
Wow.
And it's as if there's a panic, like it's dangerous. And I was bullied not with slaps and punches and all that, but a lot of mean girls, mean guys, social exclusion. And when you feel the slap or the feel of it as you leaves, it physically hurts. It physically makes you want to sort of vomit in a way. And I'm being graphic because I want people to understand what social media could possibly doing to your children, because it is not a little thing. I had to confront 2 bullies. One didn't go very well because my mom made me do it, but it is it's very threatening. It's very threatening.
Do you, and this is just because you suffer from FOMO and I suffer from NOMO, as in I don't want to go NOMO. I mean, I'm being honest because it's like I hear you and I'm like definitely feeling, I feel your emotion about it. I question if sometimes you are projecting your desire and your reality onto people who aren't thinking that same way. Because for me, I don't think about, like, if you and Sam were to go to get lunch and I wasn't a part of that, I'd be like, oh, how was lunch? I wouldn't be like, crazy. Why wasn't I with you?
What if all of us went to lunch except for you?
That's happened before.
I mean, what if it happened a couple times in a row?
It's happened.
Yeah, me too over here.
Like, it's happened. I don't think it's like, oh, so what? Oh, so y'all were at Vesper? Okay, cool. Like, how did it go? Okay.
You don't really feel
I don't think.
No, I do, and I get it. But Erica's point is the intention, right? Like, if you guys go out on a Friday, you assume I need to get back to my kids. And I do. You're accurate. You're right. But of course, there's always some FOMO. Wow. All right, we got a hard out. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Darlings.
As people wait for more information from the Department of Education on what to do next to claim this loan forgiveness benefit, there's also the question of if the program could get tied up in court. The Biden administration points to something called the HEROES Act as giving them authority for the sweeping student debt cancellation program. So what is it and how is it connected with student loans? Our sources are the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students, or HEROES Act, the Department of Education, and the Biden administration. The HEROES Act was passed after 9/11. It allows for the forgiveness of student loan requirements during certain periods of hardship in the pandemic. The Department of Education also stood on the HEROES Act to initially pause student loan collection in 2020 during the Trump administration. However, some say this is too broad an interpretation of the HEROES Act, or even a case of presidential overreach. Members of his own party have even long questioned if this is something the president has the authority to do. So how would a legal challenge happen? That's actually a big question here. With the way the judicial process works, someone would have to make the case that they've been personally harmed by this to have standing in court to challenge it. But it's something we know Republicans and conservative advocacy groups have already started talking about. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
At some point while searching for information about the DMV or other government services, you've probably ended up on a website like this one that claims to help drivers renew their license or change their address. But it's not a real government website. Instead, people were duped into paying money for what appeared to be government services, but were instead informational websites that sold user data and charged fees for guides that contained publicly available information. The Federal Trade Commission says this site and more than 200 others like it were shams run by a company called On Point Global. Verify viewer Benjamin received this postcard that claims he's entitled to a refund from On Point Global and wants to know if it's true. So Benjamin, let's verify. Is the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam real? Our sources are the FTC and court documents filed in the lawsuit of FTC, the On Point Global, and its subsidiaries. In 2021, the FTC won a lawsuit against On Point Global, ordering the company to shut down their sites and pay out $85 million to its victims. People who were affected were sent postcards and emails with instructions on how to file a claim. So, yes, the settlement for victims of the On Point Global scam is real. Victims must make a claim by September 7th using the link on the FTC's website. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it
You're
out.
out of time, but great conversations today, and you opening up about that.
Yeah, I hope I don't sound crazy, but it's how I really feel.
That's real. Thank you for your honesty.
Totally.
DBL's new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Where hope finds help. Where courage meets conviction. Where makers make fans. We are Tegna, a family of local and national media brands that bring us together, serving the greater good of our communities. Where national know-how backs local business. Be in good company with Tegna.
Am I going crazy?
I just love your passion right now.
I'll take it. Oh, yeah. Actually, let me get on it. You just got me all riled up. Who raised you?
This is a win, right, guys? Why am I right all the time?
I live my life for Spike. Welcome to another week of Jeff's Mustache.
I didn't expect that. I love this segment.
Yes.
You just made my day, my week, my month, my year. DBL is all new every day.